Back underway.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome here to the Scrimmage line. So we're trying to work out what episode number it is. I call it about 15. I think it's actually about 18 or 19 or something here. We got the Shadow Cat Josh Outland with us, direct from North Carolina, Clayton in North Carolina. Josh, thanks for your time today. It is 4 p.m. or just about 4 p.m. your time over there. What's the weather like in downtown Clayton this morning or this afternoon for you?
It's been a little bit chilly and cold. I sound like a damn weather forecaster here, but it's been chilly and a little bit. They've been calling for snow to happen over the next week or so. I'm praying. I want a white Christmas, but
Yeah.
it looks like it's actually sunny outside now though. But it's been like low temperatures. Yesterday, when I was at the game I was doing, it was a little bit wet. We actually got wet for like the first 30, 45 minutes of it. So, and now I realize how bad that sounds.
That's not bad. No. So I can hear your brother in the background, Wesley, calling the E car racing. So this a NASCAR one that he's got on, or what is it doing? Indy cars?
Yes, sir. So yeah, my brother, he's been announcing, I think, close to 15, I want to say 20 years now. I remember the days when he didn't have two pennies to pinch together, and he was just have to take all the money he'd earned as an announcer to just make it to the racetrack. And now, he's done NASCAR races, he's done football games, he's done basketball, he's doing eSIM stuff, which is what's happening right there. They're doing something called the Snowball Derby, and it's just so damn realistic, man. It's like NASCAR racing, then it's on his computer, and he's got it where he's streaming it from one place and he's streaming it to another place, and he's got this beautiful setup of like the damn. You probably got it at your house, I imagine. He's got like a speaker set up with a soundboard, and he has all kinds of music and effects, and it's an amazing thing to see, man.
Yeah, I can drop the stuff in and say I'm trying to improve the setup I've got, so effectively I can do that from purpose of podcast, and it just makes it sound stacks better the more bits and pieces
It
you can
does.
add into it. So, in the E games, for anyone that's watching this, E games effectively people think it's a bit of a joke. Well, it really kicked off, like you said, when we are having a chat just
COVID.
before we started. Yeah, around COVID time, but there's people I know that they treat this quite seriously now, and there's professional leagues around the world. People make professional money out of it. Like by professional money, I mean it is possible to make $1 million in it if you're good at it and you're in the right leagues and that sort of stuff. But it is highly competitive. And I
Yeah.
interviewed a young guy who lives about 20 minutes from my house, who
Did we solve Bubba
forget
Baller on a
what one he does, but he does some sort of e game.
Hayden Flybond finally getting around
Like it's a
Sarah Villiger.
demolition derby sort of thing, and he goes to world championships and makes about 250,000 a year, which is not bad for a 17-year-old guy. So,
Pretty impressive when you think about it, because of COVID, because everything, football was shut down for the most part.
yeah,
I mean, they had the football games, but there was no audience participation. Racing took a massive hit with COVID. They basically were
you
just
couldn't
like
have
put
any
down.
fans at the games, at the races and stuff.
So, and eSIM really took off, and my brother jumped in, and he was doing it literally. Actually, it's something I seen him do back in like 2010, and he got out of it because of how damn competitive stuff gets, and there was a lot of bickering and fighting, and he didn't want no part of that mess, so he got out of it. And
Yeah,
then COVID hit, and he decided to give it another go when he found out things had changed a bit. So crazy,
yeah,
it's
it's what
just
happens.
amazing to see.
Sometimes you get people that run the things that they're not doing it for the right reasons. So when you change a little bit of that, it makes your experience a lot better. So we'll keep going.
I'm
Is
sorry.
it good to be back home in Clayton?
Yes, sir, it is. I decided to wear a little bit of my Panther pride here, even though we got our asses handed to
Yeah.
us last week, damn it. And I was there live to see it. I don't care. I still had an amazing time, seriously.
Yeah.
That's
So I
the
see
putaway right
Alabama stuff
there.
behind you too, Alabama University stuff.
My brother is a die-hard Roll Tide fan.
that
He's ate all. He's got a bed that's got a freaking Alabama set, pillow, blanket, Alabama roll tide. I never got into college football for some reason. I don't know why.
so
Like
yeah, I was going to say, can you explain to us, because in Australia I won't understand. Like I don't completely understand. I get the purpose of, like, yeah, resonate back with where you've come from and all different people have, but I don't understand how actual college football is nearly bigger than the NFL, isn't it? Pretty sure it is.
in some ways
How
it is.
and why does that work like that?
I think it's because you got a lot more people who do go to colleges like NC State, like Clemson, like Wake Forest, like Duke, like UNC. So you get teams who are like follow their alma mater. Then you get teams who have kids who start going to that school, whether it's for sports, intelligence, education, things like that. I think it's just they got like a wider, like it's more of a wider portion of people involved in that than just like in the NFL, where it's very hard to get in. They say that out of like 100, 200,000 people that play college every year, that only maybe like 1,000 might see their name in the NFL. So I think a lot of it's like they got the bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah. So there's not too many people that really kick on from college football. Look, there really isn't, like all professional sports in the world. When you get to the level that the NFL's at, you're in the top 1%. So there's what 30 teams. There's not even 1,000 players in the NFL, but or somewhere in that, about 1,500, right? Potentially that are playing, and in that 1,500, you maybe got what 25 superstars.
Exactly. So it's a big difference. Whereas in like high school and college, you have a lot more players, a lot more superstars. I gotta say, I think they're more explosive as well. The NFL, you have faster offensive players, but you got faster defensive players. Whereas in college, I feel like it's more geared toward big games from like the offenses. You got the spread formation, you got bunch trip sets, things like that, where it really picks up on the points and the excitement and not so much on the defense like the NFL, where,
it's very structured. The NFL structured. They do a lot of stuff, but people, even coaches, they would be afraid to lose their jobs to some degree, so they're not going to throw everything on the
touchdown right there.
Yeah. So how's the Kansas
Hunt probably pissed
Chiefs
off some fantasy players right there. He had an open touchdown and he slid on his back so they could run the clock out. That's a selfless player, but that game is over. Kansas City just put it away 27-19.
There you go. So that's against the Texans for anyone who's not sure. All right, so let's get into the games last week. So the most exciting game of the season, 49ers and Rams. You're still enthralled by that game, no touchdowns. What's the go? Oh, I can't remember the 49ers player walked off in the third quarter. What was the go with that? That has got absolutely massive backlash, and it looks like some of his teammates have come out and said he needs to really think about whether he wants to be in the NFL anymore, and he's probably going to get listed.
He's been suspended. He's not going to play another down in the NFL this season, and that could be a blackball for him. I mean, who wants to play with someone who's not going to give his all for the team? I get feeling disgusted, maybe being in the depth chart, but it's your next man up and it's your time. He had a chance, with the injuries that had happened, to make a play, make something happen. And instead, he basically chose to take his ball and go home. I feel the same way about that I said about Daniel Jones with the Giants. Yeah. Same damn thing. If you're not there to play and help your team, get the hell out.
I suppose the big difference is Daniel Jones didn't decide he wanted to do it in the middle of a game, right? So Daniel Jones at least played out his game. I do think Daniel Jones was giving his all, and I've played in teams that have lost games years in a row. Like you lose 20, 30 games in a row, right? It's very hard to keep getting yourself up, but you do, right? You need to. That's
Exactly.
what you do.
You have to, you know.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jones was a big reason why they were losing games, though. That's kind of a difference. I mean, I'm literally a Panther fan, and one of our 3 damn wins this year was against the Giants. And I can
Yeah.
tell you expressly, if they had Locke playing, they probably would have won those games.
Yeah.
They
And the
probably
other
would have
thing
beat
is,
us.
he's not getting a little bit of money. Daniel Jones was on what,
He's getting a
30 million
freaking
or something a
boatload of
year?
money.
Yeah. So it's a lot of money, right? So we'll kick on. So it's not too much. I was
Sorry
going to say
about
there's
that.
not really too much more to add to the 49ers and Rams game, was there? So
It
they've
was
all
an
got
ugly,
nullified.
rainy defensive slugfest, man. You must have been in heaven watching it. I was like, this is disgusting. My first Thursday night football game on Thursday in 9 damn years, and it's this. I was thinking about putting on like the Grinch that Stole Christmas or something by like the 3rd quarter. We watched it all. At least I did on my tablet, but it was. Yeah, I was passed out literally like not before it was over. I was like fighting sleep. Neither team did jack.
Yeah. So long term, we've talked about, we think that Matthew Stafford ultimately probably, if the 49ers think they can get a decent trade, this could be his last year, because everyone's just saying he's getting older, he's getting knocked around more and more. So saying that he hasn't been seriously injured or anything, but it's too much reliance on Matthew Stafford. So have you had a think or chat to your brother, or heard any news from on the ground in the States what that picture might look like in the future without Matthew Stafford?
I haven't really heard anything at this point. I mean, imagine at this point, you can imagine him going to a team like the Raiders, you know, a quarterback needy team, or maybe a team that needs depth. You gotta remember he's still got the big arm, he's still got the ability, and that really was an inclement weather game. I mean, I'm literally starting him in my fantasy this week because I'm expecting him to have a big bounce back performance. Trying to see who they're playing coming up is going to be the Jets. And I'm playing him against the Jets and still expecting him to have a bounce back performance, knowing that Sauce Gardner, knowing how bad it was for Cooper Kupp last week. I think if you're playing fantasy football and you're benching Matthew Stafford based off of last week, you're making a big mistake, because he's still got the arm, he's still got the intelligence, he's still got the the touch, he's got the IQ. Bad games happen, and I think that's what we saw there. I was surprised the Rams won it, though, honestly. I thought the 49ers would have won it going away.
Yeah. The next game had Commanders take on the Saints there and get up 2019. So that was a close one there for the Commanders. They did it the hard way too, because they've been good this year, and I thought they might drop it there to New Orleans, and they didn't. So thankfully for them.
I believe what happened was New Orleans missed a last-second field goal PAT attempt to make it a tie game, but I was surprised. I was literally watching the Panthers game live, but we were seeing updates on it. And I was expecting the Commanders to absolutely blow out the Saints, especially considering the Saints are starting Jake Hayner, Derek Carr injured, now Kamara injured. It looks like he's going to be missing a while. Saints with no offense. They're already missing Chris Olave. You know, they lost trying to think of the tight end that they use all the time. It's like a freaking quarterback too. They lost him. They had literally nothing going on offense, but they still managed to make it a close game against the Commanders. Jaden Daniels didn't play his best game. The running game really didn't take off until the middle of the last quarter. You know what? I think the last thing to say is Commanders did just enough to pull out the win, and almost not enough to win. I mean, when it comes down to a defensive stand on a blocked field goal or a missed field goal, I was expecting. I believe I predicted like 28-17 or 28-13 or something like that. So, but again, weather conditions, because it was cold and wet and rainy, and in Carolina, it would have been cold, wet, rainy in DC as well, I believe.
Yeah. So is Jaden Daniels the right guy to be in charge of the Commanders? Because they look
He
good.
is.
They just look like they need some more weapons, right? So, and I don't think it's him. I think they need some. I know decent offensive line's going to help you, and maybe an extra wide receiver, so they give you some options to throw to, and maybe some decent rush. They haven't got anyone. They've got guys that are punching out the yards rushing there, so including Daniels himself running. So you don't want your quarterback running everything all the time, right?
No.
So
Okay,
that's
so
how someone's.
Jaden Daniels, I believe, was last year's Heisman Trophy winner. So he's already got damn good ability, good passing ability. He's evolved really quickly in the NFL offense as well. His best trait, I gotta say, is he plays a clean football game. He doesn't press too much. He doesn't make bad decisions. He's kind of like a methodical style player. He uses his mind more than his body. He's not gonna make those game breaking interception plays that you see most rookie quarterbacks make in the NFL. He's playing well above his means. I'm kind of wondering how he's going to look when the NFL gets more film on him in the in sophomore season going forward. But right now, he looks like the answer for the Commanders. He's the quarterback savant that they've needed for a good while. I know my friend Steven, he's a Commanders fan. He's happy. He loves some Jaden Daniels. Their biggest things they need to work on now: improving the offensive line, improving the defense. They got pretty good secondary, but not much on the pass rush side.
Yeah. In the next game now, the Chiefs got up last week, so we both predicted it. I was hoping the Browns would get up and have a win there. So unfortunately, Jameis Winston couldn't pull it out and do it. Although I have to say, for a number 3 string or number 2 string quarterback, he's not doing a terrible job, right? So he's doing better than what Deshaun Watson was, and they actually look like they're back in games with a bit of a chance of winning. So it doesn't help he hasn't got stacks to work with. Although saying that, they're getting guys punching out rushing yards through the offensive line. So they really don't have anything out wide either, right? Lots of throwing options. So they've kind of got to bash it through the guts. So, and against someone like the Chiefs, you're not really going to do that. And the yellow flag specialists on any given Sunday.
Yeah, not only that, unfortunately, I hate to say this, I'm a huge Chubb fan, even though he's not a Panther. Unfortunately, they've lost Nick Chubb for the year. He's got a broken foot. It's really sad to see, to go from destroying his entire left leg last year and the season ender in literally like game 1 or game 2, and then he comes back, has some signs of improvement, and then to break his foot now, two season injury years in a row. Really sad to see, and it's actually got them wondering what the future is for Nick Chubb in Cleveland. Also about the Jameis Winston, apparently Browns coaches were not too pleased with his performance. They benched him in the 4th quarter for Dorian Thompson, and they're actually going to start Dorian Thompson at quarterback this week. I personally think that's a mistake, but
His
I
numbers weren't
guess
good either.
he was struggling. I mean, it's Kansas City, but he was struggling, and you could see it. And playing in Cleveland, I was expecting a little bit more than 7 points from Cleveland.
Yeah. So looking at that, what I'm taking out of that is that Jameis Winston, they still look at him as a backup. But if they're trying to play Thompson, Robinson, that makes me think that they're hoping he might come good. And if he does, maybe they trade Deshaun Watson or try to trade Deshaun Watson.
And that's, they're bent over the barrel with Deshaun Watson. I was literally reading an article this morning talking about how they have to pay him. I think if they release him, it's like $40 million. They have to pay, like no questions asked. But if they keep him on the roster, then they take an even larger hit. They're kind of like in a rock and a hard place, and you can see the bad decisions that they've made the last few years are the reason why Cleveland's in the shoes they're in. So.
Yeah. So
I feel sorry for them. When you see them going around and seeing the Buffalo, the Baltimore Ravens that used to be the Cleveland Browns relocated to Baltimore and winning the title, not just once, but now twice. And they're in the quarterback purgatory they're in the last 25, almost 26 years now. I feel for them.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a big thing, right? So they have to get the way out of it. Jerome Ford, he's getting plenty of rushing yards there, and Judy's doing all right too, but you can't rely on two blokes, right? When you look at Detroit, who are effectively leading the way in
Sonic and
NFC North,
Knuckles.
they've got about 10 weapons, right? So nearly everyone right across the field is adding something. So if you rely on one or two guys, if they get injured, and they will, so like Nick Chubb has now,
Yeah.
Cleveland's all the other good options now have been shut down. So we'll have to see what happens. The Chiefs, what did you make out of the win from Chiefs' point of view? But because they had to grind it out, they're doing that more often. Actually, didn't need any yellow flags to get over the top here. And this one, they just went through the motions. They got
didn't
the
need
win.
help, did they?
No.
No, pretty much they had a pretty easy victory. Grind it out, ground and pound. The Browns couldn't stuff the run at all. They were able to keep the chain moving. They won time of possession. Their defense handled what went to the point where the Browns just couldn't do anything. And that's what that you got to come to expect that. They paid so much into Deshaun Watson. They thought he was the answer because of how good he looked in Houston. And they literally dismantled their entire team for the purpose of one man looking for a quarterback savior. And instead, it's like they might be the worst team in the NFL right now looking at it, because now with Chubb's injury, there's already talk about Myles Garrett possibly going away next year. They're literally looking at like a multi-season rebuild. I mean, it's going to take, if they lose Chubb, they lose Garrett, they're going to lose Cedric Tillman, who's starting to show signs of progression as a wide receiver, but they're not going to be able to keep him. They ain't going to have the money. David Njoku, he's starting to take off as an elite threat at tight end, at least in the end zone, the red zone, but they're not going to be able to retain his services. I mean, you got teams that need tight end, and he's a great receiving tight end. He's starting to show progression, like I said. They're not going to be able to retain him. So you're literally looking at like what's about to be a multi-year rebuild in Cleveland. And I think it's got to start with the front office. They gotta clean the front office out before they can do anything, I think.
Yeah. So next game, the Bengals take on the Titans there, and the Bengals got up 37-27, but not without some scares there, because the Titans, Mason Rudolph got them up in front, so they were over the top there. First quarter, they were leading 14-7. Then they put the cue on the rack for the next two quarters and got tapped up there by the Bengals. But they come back, look like Will Levis and Mason Rudolph both finished off the fourth quarter, and they nearly come back. But it's big deficit to chase when you do nothing in the second and third quarter and let the other team blow it out. They put 13 on in the last quarter. Did you think they looked all right? I know the Bengals, but then they'll say job done, got it done. That's what you got to do. Some of these wins are not going to be good. So you got to be able to win however you can. I think they were fairly good. And Joe Burrow got the business done again.
Oh, yeah. It was like 4 touchdowns, 350 yards, I want to say, passing. That's the problem with the Bengals, though, is it feels like it's the Joe Burrow show. They have so much going on offense. They've got Chase Brown. He's a damn good running back. He's starting to show signs of taking it to that next level of superstardom. And I had a feeling. I drafted him in fantasy football because I was expecting, with the departure of Joe Mixon, next man up. And Chase Brown showed signs last year when he had the chance. Or 2 years ago, I think it was, when he had the chance. He showed some signs that he had the ability. So I took him in fantasy football. I've been happy with him. And he's good in reality as well. Good receiving threat as well as rushing the ball. Joe Burrow, he won a Heisman for LSU, won a national title. He's a great player. He's going to continue making the Bengals great. But at the same time, now you got to worry about paying him because I believe his 5th-year option should be right around the corner. They got to worry about keeping Jamar Chase. He's a hell of a threat. You know, he's been damn good for the Bengals literally since his rookie season. It's going to be hard to retain both of them. I mean, that's going to be upwards of 200 million just in 2 players alone.
Yeah, so T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. If they lose
Higgins
them,
is gone.
either one
Higgins
of them,
is as
but
good as gone.
well, they lose all their attacking weapons then, so they've got big problems.
Yeah, Higgins is literally as good as gone. I'm hearing word that my Panthers are set to pursue him. I'm hoping we get him. He'd be a great addition to our receiver core. He'd be a great addition to any receiver core. Seriously,
He's only
that would be a
25
big threat
too,
for
isn't
them
he?
to lose.
He's
He's pretty
only
damn young. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty young. He's not quite a number 1, but he's a bona fide number 2. He'd be, like I said, any team would be glad to have T. Higgins on their squad next year going forward. Their problem is that defense. They do not have enough on the defense, and their offensive line is constantly in shambles. I mean, they have not learned the lesson where Joe Burrow was looking damn good his rookie season, and they lost him because of the offensive line. And it's like they still haven't learned that lesson. I'm just hoping they don't end up costing themselves. I believe for the AFC North, between the Ravens and the Steelers, it's just too little too late. They'll win a game like this. They'll kind of be in the hunt, so to speak, but they just had too slow a start to catch up. This looks like a lost year for Cincinnati.
That's
For
a
the
big thing.
Titans, I really don't think we can say too much more without beating a dead horse. Levis is not the answer. Rudolph is not the answer. They lost their best running back, Henry. Pollard shows promise, but he's not like a franchise running back. He's not a game changer. And just like the Browns, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for them to get players in the draft. Now they're going to be looking quarterback, undoubtedly. I wouldn't be shocked if they were trying to move up in next year's draft, and God knows what that's going to cost them to do just to move up from 4th or 5th or 3rd up to like 1st or 2nd for a shot at Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
So what are you going to trade? But what are you going to offer to trade? You're going to have to offer to trade Will Levis, and you're not going to trade a B grade, C grade quarterback and get an A grade quarterback. It's not coming. So you're going to have to trade for a rookie.
Yeah.
You're going to be trading for a rookie and hope the rookie's good.
And you have no guarantee that he's going to be good at all. And Tennessee is far from just needing one quarterback to compete as well. So if they thinking that, they got another thing coming, and they will severely cripple their future if they think that they can like package 1, 2, 3, 4, top picks, because you're not going to be able to move up from 3rd to 1st or 5th to 1st or 5th to 2nd without mortgaging at least 2 of your 1st round draft picks. It'd be like a pipe dream.
Yeah. What about could they trade up potentially like a Will Levis for like a Justin Field or something like that?
I guess that option's on the table, but I mean, are the Steelers going to entertain that trade? I don't really think so.
Yeah. Well, I think Justin Field and Russell Wilson are going all right together. So, and the egos haven't really wrecked that yet. It seems to be working okay. And I think Justin Field knows that Russell Wilson is on borrowed time too, because he's 35 or something as well. So,
yeah, when you think about it, it's really not a bad quarterback situation that the Steelers have. And I know we're kind of jumping ahead, but we might as well talk them too. Justin Fields shows promise, and he's still damn young. He still was one of the top touted quarterbacks in his class. And the Steelers got a steal, in my opinion. Excuse the pun. I just realized that one. Steelers got a steal. That's horrible.
More puns than you can poke a stick at.
Yeah, seriously. And they're watching. I don't know why we're watching golf now. I'm waiting for the Steelers game to come on. Steelers versus Ravens. Yeah. Let's see here.
Just kind of patiently waiting.
So-
Russell Wilson, like you said, he's on borrowed time. He's not quite the player he was in his prime. He's not the slippery eel. You know, he's still a good passer, quarterback, and that's what he brings. Because when it is time for him to hang it up, they still have that veteran presence to pass on to Justin Fields. They didn't mortgage the future for the present. If anything, they've opened up a good window that they can compete because they've got the weapons, they've got the defense, they've got the O-line. Their running back game is starting to get somewhat adjusted. I still think Jaylen Warren is the better running back over Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris has been someone who gets a lot of his yards based off of like force feeding. Hey, brother, I don't know what channel, but your Steelers about to play, man.
I know. About to put it on.
All right, brother. Sorry about that. He knows.
That's a good.
He's as big a fan as I am my Panthers. He is his Steelers, and I think he's even bigger for Roll Tide. So, they
Yes, speak of your college football playoff. What a joke that is, right?
Wesley's coming over.
I'm just heading to the channel.
Huh.
Where's my remote at?
It should be on the table. What's it sitting on it? Give me a second, my friend.
They birdied 4 of 5 on the second 9. They went out 630. So
I thought I put it back up.
They're about to get a diehard Steelers fan on board now too.
Yeah, I think he might be joining us in a little bit. I don't know.
That's my intention as soon as I finish up. But I'm calling a race right now.
All right, brother. And I've been looking at that, man. That's amazing. It looks just like NASCAR broadcasting and everything. Insane. But no, the Steelers, like I was saying, Russell Wilson does look like he's at the end of his. I give him maybe 1 or 2 years more as a starter.
Don't get me started.
And in the meantime,
Please don't get me started. Oh my God! Don't get me going.
I guess Wesley isn't as happy with the quarterback arrangement.
No, he's not. He's not the QB that he was from Seattle.
I've heard
he makes
that.
me so damn mad when I watch him. When I watch him play.
Do you want to trade him for Will Levis?
But would you want to trade him for Will Levis though?
He just needs more time. Levis needs more time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Levis needs more time.
He needs to
I
adapt.
think he's in the car that's not working properly.
The indicator's not working. No, but I think that's something that they bring is while Russell Wilson, like I said, and like my brother literally just reiterated, he's not the slippery eel that he was in Seattle. He still has ability throwing the ball. He's still got the IQ. And I think that's the biggest thing he brings to the table for the Steelers. And he can help that with Justin Fields. Justin Fields, as we know, is a slippery little eel type player. And if he starts getting it adjusted where he gets his arm to match up with his athleticism, the AFC is going to be in trouble. I mean, the Steelers will literally have another Lamar Jackson on their hands, another Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson style player. And it would literally become, I think, like a 3 or 4 horse race in the AFC between the Chiefs and the Steelers and the Ravens. And who was the last one? Steelers, Ravens, Chiefs, and the Bills, who seem like they're just great all around.
So we're going to the next game. Texans against the Dolphins there. The Texans got up 20 points to 12. You're not going to win games if you don't throw touchdowns, right? No touchdowns for the Dolphins. They look like they just look flat. So against the Texans, CJ Stroud, he didn't do stacks. Looked like there's a lot of running in it. So the weather would have been not good there as well. Just about to wheel it up. It was a fair team effort to have to get the business done. And Tagovailoa, he was throwing the ball around a lot more, but do the Dolphins need to work more on their rushing game as opposed to their relying on passing, because they had all the passing yards and they still couldn't get the business done and get a touchdown.
That's absolutely one of the biggest reasons the Dolphins are struggling. You got to remember they had a thunder and lightning combination, kind of like your Lions. They had a thunder and a lightning combination in Mostert and Devon Achane. Devon Achane, of course, was the lightning combination Mostert was the power back. They lost Mostert. The chain is taken off as a receiving threat, but he doesn't really have that. He's got big playability if you can get him the ball in space, but he doesn't have that ability to create for himself. He's not a north-south runner. If anything, and it's not what you want to hear, he's an east-west runner, a scat back. Give him the ball in space, watch him work. The Dolphins aren't really equipped to do that, though, at least with getting him the ball. And he's not equipped to go north-south. He's got to make holes happen, make space happen, try to play what he gets from the O-line rather than trying to force his way through. You know, it's just because of his size. He's a scat back. He's a speed back. And he makes explosive plays. He does. But he's not going to carry that team in the running game. Not only that, Tua missed a wide open Tyreek Hill. That game should have been a lot closer than it was. He actually missed the connection with Tyreek Hill quite a few times now that I'm thinking about it. And two of them were just great picks by Derek Stingley of the Texans. He had a 2-interception game last week, and that really was a big deal. And that was really what really sealed the deal for the Texans over the Dolphins. I mean, the biggest thing is you can get all the yards in the world, but if you're not scoring, if you're not getting even field goals, much less touchdowns, you're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah. So it's unusual not to get the kick on your touchdown, but isn't it? Because they got one touchdown and missed the kick. Really should be getting the kick from that.
And that's literally, and just a missed kick, like you said, saw an 8-point game. That could literally come back to bite them even more. Even if they did manage to connect with Tyreek Hill, then you got to try to push for 2, and you never know what happens. You know, there goes Derrick Henry right there on the Steelers. But I ain't gonna be happy about that one. Mixon's getting the job done for the Texans. I do gotta say this. CJ Stroud is starting to show some signs of some serious regression. I feel like he's in the midst of a sophomore slump. Like, he had a bit of a bounce back game last week, but the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's really been struggling.
I think they're going to do that a little bit, but if it's over reliance on a second-year quarterback, so need to give them the opportunity to work their way up, right? Just show what they can do. Take some heat off and get the older guy out there as a number 2, just to feel their way. So if you have to completely rely on a guy that's about 23, that's played 10 games or something like that, they're not going to be able to pull it out every single match all the time. It takes experience, takes time to get that experience.
Well, you'll see that when we talk about the game that just happened, literally just finished about 20 minutes ago. His inexperience was starting to show, and he just was overmatched against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs defense.
Yeah. So we'll go on to the next game now. So we just did. Let's find that one was all right. Up to my favorites, the Giants against the Ravens there. So I quit on Sunday. Daniel Jones, former team, against the Ravens. So the Ravens.
That wasn't even a game.
Yeah. So the Ravens just leave it all too late, don't they? Pretty much all the time to try to get really cracking. So the 9-5. What are they gonna finish? Surely they're not gonna finish with 12-5.
I don't see it happening. I mean, I'm gonna say this too. I actually think the Steelers are gonna beat the Ravens here today. So that'll be 9-6. And then looking at their schedule going forward, they're looking like possibly a 10-win team, but I'm not seeing anything more than that. So they're not going to be the 1 seed in the AFC because the Chiefs just won 13, I think, or 14.
Yeah, so they got a lot of work to do. So the Giants really don't have anything going there. Quarterback DeVito and Boyle.
They don't. They have literally nothing. Their brightest spot is either Malik Neighbors or Tyrone Tracy, the rookie running back, and both of them are injured. So it's not really looking good for them. They're looking like They let the wrong man go. They should have kept Saquon Barkley. I feel like we said this already. I
Yeah.
feel like this is like deja vu. We talked about this. They let the wrong team, they let the wrong man go. They paid the wrong man, and now they're paying the price. They're probably in worse shape than Dallas is this year, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah. So the Ravens got their win there. Lamar Jackson, 5 touchdowns, 290 yards. Derrick Henry, so another decent
Henry
running game
struggled a
there.
little.
Rasheem Ali, another decent running game there. So and they're throwing it around. They had options there. So Bateman got 2 touchdowns. It was general pretty good team performance right through the whole line. And a lot of that was courtesy of Lamar Jackson. So if he wasn't quarterback, I think they play a different game. They still get the win, but that was pretty good.
That literally was like the differences in organizations, not just the quarterback, not just the running backs, but literally the entire team, office, organization, offense, defense, special teams, everything is much better in Baltimore compared to New York Giants.
Yeah.
And New York Jets for that matter.
Yeah, and we're about to go into the Jets too. They took on the Jaguars there, Jacksonville, 32-25 winners there, the Jets. Are you surprised by the score? Mac Jones
I am.
He tried to wheel it out. He nearly did it there for the Jaguars. And Aaron Rodgers, I don't know how he managed to be able to pull it out, but the Jets, they are imploding now. Everyone's giving it to the general manager. So, and they're effectively all turning on each other. It's pretty funny to see, really, because the Jets fans don't look happy. They said they don't really have a team they're happy with now. They put too much on Aaron Rodgers, thinking he was going to be the great white hope and the big answer, and realize that they've dropped all their money in one bucket and haven't looked at the future at all. Now they've got themselves a big hole for the next couple of years.
I'll say this for their favor. That acquisition of Devontae Adams is finally starting to pay dividends. It's not going to do really anything for them, because of their record. But no, even that. Like, I believe he was like a 1-year rental. So even that, he's basically playing to play for someone else next year. So yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he's basically torched New York. It really is ironic when you think about how his career trajectory and Brett Favre's career trajectory are like this.
Parallel.
Decisions they've made, their career, they won. Everyone thought they'd go back, and they never went back. And then they go to New York. I guess at this point, that means the next team that Aaron Rodgers is going to go to will be the Minnesota Vikings. Further alienate that Packer fan base.
So my question is, why would the Vikings sign him? Because they completely don't need him. So
they wouldn't. That was literally a joke. Unless they play him as like a backup, but his ego, he's not going to allow himself to be seen as a backup. He wants to be the starter, or he will literally say, "I'm done."
Yeah. The next game, your game you went to, and I saw pictures from the game, Panthers against the Cowboys. Tough loss for you, 30-14. What happened in the first quarter? Did both sides decide they just wanted to stand around and have a chat or something? Like, no points in the first quarter surprised me. I thought Dallas might try to have a go, or even the Panthers. I thought that Bryce Young might get it out and get up on top. I think if the Panthers had been able to get in front, they might have been able to get that momentum over Dallas, but you let Dallas get in front, and then it's hard to reel them back in.
So from what I was watching, and like I said, I had a damn ball. I was with my brother and a friend Jackie, and we were way up in the nosebleeds in the stands. We could see everything. We could see the entire field from where we were. Wesley's like, damn, we're way up in the air. So it was beautiful. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I think you have the most fun in the nosebleeds. It's nothing like the cheap seats like that old Alabama country song goes.
Yeah.
So they had a great first drive. Carolina did. Started, I want to say, at their 19-yard line, and they got all the way down into the red zone. They had the ball, I think, 7 or 8 minutes just to come away with a fumble. And that literally was like the start of the downslide. Bryce Young, he had a beautiful, I mean, he put Micah Parsons on spin cycle. It would have been a highlight play for the Panthers if he did not get caught and fumble the ball. As it is, he did. He fumbled, and from there, it's like it kind of was like this right here, an uphill battle. The Panthers ultimately, what did them in were two things. Bryce Young had a bit of a setback. He had a 2-interception, 2-fumble game. I will say, watching that, neither one of the interceptions were really on him. One was a great read. The other one was a tip drill pick. He was looking for Thielen, and it got popped up in the air like Pringles, and the defender came away with the ball there. The other one was just a great play by a defensive back on what should have looked like a touchdown, and instead it got snagged the last second. The fumbles, definitely concerning, especially as a Panther fan. I believe wet conditions have a lot to do with it, because that was a miserable game. It was cold, it was wet, it was rainy. I do not know what the Panthers were thinking running away from Chubba Hubbard, or Chumbawamba as I like to call him. The conditions were literally saying run the damn ball. And the Panthers, I think, ran the ball like 4 times in the second half in what was a 10-7 game at halftime. And even then, it was looking dismal. It was 10-0 just for half, and it was looking bad. And the Panthers forced a fumble. They got the ball back, and then Bryce Young had a beautiful 83-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Coker, the rookie. And that whole stadium went from like dead silent to massive uproar. Yeah, I thought going in the second half it was going to be great. Instead, at halftime, I go to get me and my brother and my friend Jackie. I'll go to get us some food, and I'm celebrating with the Aussie Riot, Roaring Riot. We have a little celebration during halftime, a little halftime tailgate. And I come back from getting my food, and I find out we're down 20-7. Apparently, Bryce Young had fumbled the first handoff the Panthers got after halftime. He fumbled first play, and that was it. The great field position they had, they pounded it in. CeeDee Lamb was literally unstoppable. I was like of two minds, because in one hand, I'm in the playoffs in my fantasy league, and I'm like, CeeDee Lamb's going the freak off. But on the other hand, I'm like, CeeDee Lamb's really going off. I don't know why the Panthers decided not to play J.C. Horn on Lamb the entire time. Comes down to coaching. I think Canales is showing that, like, he's still, he's a rookie head coach. He doesn't have the most confidence in the team. You can tell, you can see it. I don't know why we went away from running the football. Like, I know we were struggling a bit to run the ball compared to Dallas. Dallas had like 200 yards. I think that's really about all you can say. When you allow more than 150, 200 yards to the running back, you're going to have a bad day. And I think that's exactly what happened. Bryce Young and Carolina picked a bad day to have a bad day. Even worse since I was there, damn it. It kind of ticked me off. But still had a ball even in the midst of the loss. Going forward, Dallas has decisions to make regarding Dak Prescott. Are they going to keep CeeDee Lamb? They got to start thinking about that, because, yes, they had that win, but it's the end of the year for them. They're not going to compete. I believe they're right near the end of their chances at a wild card spot. And the Panthers, they lost their hopes in a playoff. That loss sealed them. They're out of the playoffs, I think, for like a 7th consecutive season.
Yeah. So Dallas, the good thing, I suppose, saying Cooper Rush, and he's not the answer long term.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was
3
like, I thought
touchdowns.
this guy was
Carolina up in front.
Yeah. Again, like part of me's happy because CeeDee Lamb's performance inside the Cooper Rush. So my fantasy team, I'm like, I'm feasting, I'm winning. And then my reality is like, how the hell is Cooper Rush roasted us for 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
They
Well,
played
so I think
smart.
perhaps he's a better quarterback than what we've been rating him. Like he is a second string to third string quarterback, but he's getting the business done. I wouldn't say he's a starter somewhere, but you'd be pretty happy carrying him at the moment. So because he's getting the job done. He's bringing in Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott. They're doing a lot of stuff as well. So no touchdowns for either of them, but CeeDee Lamb, Cooks, all these guys. He had it on a string the other day. He really did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Rico Dowdle, you got to give him credit. He's been really doing a great job rushing the ball. Ezekiel Elliott, his best days are well behind him. There's a reason they got him back so cheap. He's a serviceable back, but it's more like I think of Ezekiel Elliott more as a fullback at this point than a running back. He's really lost the running back room. It's crazy seeing how he went from being the lead back in Dallas to 1 year away, and then he comes back, but he's just not the same player he was in his rookie season. And that's to be expected. When you get ridden as hard as the Dallas Cowboys rode him from 2016 to 2023, he just doesn't have, he's got too much tread on the tires, or not enough tread on the tires at this point. Too much usage. Rico Dowdle looks good though. I don't know if he's the future at Dallas. I still think they should have went all in, like Jerry Jones says. They should have went all in on the team that I'm watching right now, Derrick Henry, who at this point has 4 carries, now 5 carries for almost 50 yards on the Steelers defense. They should have went all in getting Derrick Henry, and instead they didn't do enough. And that's why their season is the way it is.
Trying to save his money for his girlfriend.
Well, he put his personal ahead of his team, and if he really feels like that, he needs to sell the damn team away then.
That's what's got to happen, yeah. Next game, San Diego Chargers up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, it was tight till halftime, and then they clicked the gear, and they clicked a massive gear there.
And they busted it wide open.
Baker Mayfield just aimed up, and story of 2 halves there. Really, Justin Herbert, I thought he's probably all right in the first and second quarter, and then Baker Mayfield just really owned everything about the game after that, and the Buccaneers smashed them.
You got to give Justin Herbert some credit. When you consider that his best receiver right now is a rookie slot player named Ladd McConkey, he's done some good things for that Chargers team. And now, they're right on the cusp of a playoff berth with that win they had on Monday Night Football. Sorry, jumping ahead to that. Sorry about that. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. My fantasy team was ecstatic. I was the number 3. I was taking on the number 2, and I pulled it out. Now I'm the number 2 again in my league. And it's because Baker Mayfield, I think he had 63 points in fantasy, 395 yards and 4 touchdowns, I want to say he had. Yeah. And Mike Evans, man, the 1,000-yard count continues. Will he get 1,000 yards for yet another season?
He's 31 now, 2 touchdowns, 159 yards. Massive effort.
We aired it out, and Mike Evans was the big recipient of it.
But their rushing yards too, Bucky Irving and Rashad White, they just punched it out as well. So 117 yards runs there in 15 efforts there for Bucky Irving.
Victory.
So they're good numbers. Rashad White is only 22, isn't he? So pretty sure he is. And
he's pretty young, but Bucky Irving looks like he's going to take over that backfield. He's rookie. Yeah. He's younger. He's got more dynamic ability with receiving. I think the writing's on the wall in the Tampa Bay backfield.
So they're really putting together something pretty good there, especially Baker Mayfield, quarterback. it looked like the next couple of years they're going to be very competitive to get into the playoffs. So I think they might miss it this year unless they can have a run of 3 wins in a row now.
I think they're going to get it. Because
Oh, you reckon
Atlanta
they'll
is
get the
showing
last
signs of
wild card spot?
regression.
Yeah.
No, we've got to remember the NFC South winner goes to the playoffs automatically. No matter how good your record is, if you win your division, you make a playoff spot. Normally, the Buccaneers would just be a wild card contender, if that. But because they play in the weekend NFC South, Panthers are out, Saints are out. It's been a 2-horse race between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And I'm thinking the Buccaneers are going to have the edge. Not just that. News is now coming out that the Falcons are parting ways with Kirk Cousins. They're going to play Michael Penix, and I'm like,
why are they getting rid of Kirk Cousins?
Because I believe he made too many mistakes this last game, and that sealed their loss. And I think they won. I want to say actually. But they barely beat a hapless Raiders team. I think that's actually going to be one of the first next games we talk about. Yeah, they struggled, and he struggled. I want to say he had like 3 or 4 interceptions. He really did not look good against the Las Vegas Raiders. And as you know, the Raiders are like one of the worst teams in the league this year.
Yeah, it's funny. I have to say, I know a couple of teams that will be looking for someone like Kirk Cousins at the moment too to do some stuff.
He still has ability. If it's not a primetime game, like they say, I know someone on Facebook, I died laughing when I saw this. He'll win you games Sundays before 7.
So you know where I could
classic.
see Kirk Cousins end up seriously? The
Touchdown
Giants.
Ravens. That would be a best case scenario for him. If Kirk Cousins went to New York, he would turn around the Giants. But at the same time, that's also like applying duct tape on a wound. You eventually got to pull it off, and you're going to see the blood ooze out.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a Band-Aid fix on it.
A bandage. I called it duct tape because it's the minute you pull that off, the minute you go, that's on the mouth. But the minute they do that, the blood and everything is going to show. He'll make Malik Neighbors a legitimate threat at wide receiver. He'll make the offense look better. He'll make the defense look better for a year or 2. But after that, all bets will be off. If they hadn't groomed a quarterback by then, it'll be right back in the same situation. Yeah. Honestly, he needs to go to Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be his other option there. So because he's going to Vegas, got the makings of potentially a good team, doesn't need to do such a big rebuild there. Why don't they spend money either? They just won't spend money on the team either.
I don't really get what the owner is. I'll say this: if they had Al Davis instead of Mark Davis, they would be all in. They would have acquired Kirk Cousins. I don't think the Falcons would have ever had a shot at him under a different regime. But again, it's the same thing in Vegas as it is with the Giants. Because of Kirk Cousins' advanced age, yes, he's going to look good. He's going to make you look good maybe a year. But then the regression happens. He's going to fall off. You're going to fall off. And you're basically kicking the can down the road. The best team that I could see that would be a good fit for him.
I'm like, this freaking guy. He's like, you can't do that. What's this guy doing? And
see, I'm struggling to think of it. Right now, the best fits probably are the Raiders, probably are the Giants. Maybe a reunion with the Vikings. But then you got Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. Tennessee. I knew there was one I was thinking of. Tennessee. He could instruct Will Levis, and that probably is the best spot for him. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
But even that,
Titans aren't a bad fit, for him. If Will Levis needs to learn, right, and get some experience off someone like Kirk Cousins.
Cousins is the man who could do it because he's got the experience from being a 3rd-round draft pick, not expected to play. He was always going to be the backup to RG3. and RG3 tore his ACL, and then he got the chance and he excelled with it. I won't say excelled, but he did adequate enough that he earned a huge contract twice. You know, he's a good enough starter that he could be a good, serviceable veteran mentor presence in Tennessee, and he can help Will Levis go to the next level. And like Wesley said, he needs time to adjust. Kirk Cousins can give him that time to adjust. You actually hit the nail on the head with that suggestion.
Yeah. So the next game, Broncos 31-13 over the Colts. I've watched one of Anthony Richardson's. He threw an intercept that was a touchdown, and I didn't mind how the play was going, but the commentators called it, oh, here we go, they're going to go for a double switch pass here, and it did, and you could see it coming before he even threw it, and he threw the intercept. It's like, surely he could see that they were going to try to intercept the ball going back, right? And it's just, he's a young guy, right? It's like nobody's queued him up that it could happen. So he's thrown the pass anyway, got intercepted, untouched, like touchdown, 65 yards or whatever it was. It was big, right? And I just thought, why? Someone has just said, do this, and he's done it thinking it's good. But once it started to do the play, he's got no spatial awareness around him, like, this is not going to work now. Let's pull something else out. And he ran the play anyway, and the play went bad.
Exactly. And you got to remember this about Anthony Richardson, and people do not seem to understand this. Anthony Richardson is a project player. He was taken, so he had so much enamorism, not because of how he looked playing football. It was more because he was like a combine hero. He had great running ability. So many people fell in love with potential with Anthony Richardson. And if he puts it together, he's got a chance to be greater than, than Cam Newton or Michael Vick or most dual threat quarterbacks. He's got the chance, but he's got to be able to put it together. And I don't think they have the right guy with him. I mean, Joe Flacco always had the big arm, but if I'm being honest, Flacco had a big arm, but he didn't really have a lot of accuracy. He didn't really have. He had a big arm and a good team around him. Like, I think Flacco would have struggled a lot more around another team. Like,
hey, Josh,
I'm probably going to piss off Ravens fans saying that.
Josh, can you send me the link in Facebook of how you can watch that?
I already
and
have.
listen to it?
I
No,
sent you
not
the
Zoom,
link.
the broadcast. Like, people want to watch
I don't think
it.
we're on it right now.
It's on radio, right?
Yeah.
So it's not live. It's
We're not on the radio right now, are we?
No.
Not yet. It's got to be added.
Yeah.
This one
I'll get this up today.
Brother.
You don't have
Go up
replays or
afterwards.
anything?
We do, but this one isn't on live broadcast right now. We're doing it, and then we add it on for this one.
So
Pre-record.
Pre-recorded. Yeah, because the hours change would be me being up at 3 a.m.
That's
We
too
did
hard for
one
you.
though. Last week we did that, and I was on fumes the rest of the day after that. I was like, that was hard to do. I lost my train of thought there. We were talking about the Broncos and the Colts. Okay.
Yeah.
So Anthony Richardson is a project player. He was taken for what he can potentially become. He's got good size. He's got good speed. So many people wanted to peg him as like the next Cam Newton. But Cam Newton, you got to remember, at least had some passing ability, some ability in college. You don't throw for 30-something touchdowns without that. Anthony Richardson was a project coming in. Then he missed time because of how he plays. He is still technically, you could say he redshirted his freshman season. So he's still technically a rookie playing in the NFL. He's going to make the rookie mistakes. He doesn't have this is going to sound horrible saying this, but he doesn't have at this point the IQ that's needed to play quarterback in the NFL. He's a damn good rusher. He can make things happen on the ground, but as an actual overall quarterback, He's got a lot, and I mean a lot of seasoning he's got to do. And I personally think they should have played Joe Flacco. I think they should have let Flacco play, let him start, let him learn from him, learn from his mistakes, watch him play, learn how to read coverages, and rather than just relying on trying to throw his receiver open, because he's not going to be able to do that. He doesn't have the receivers that run the best routes for that. And if we're being honest, he doesn't really have a superstar receiver in the first place. He might have one of the worst receiver tandems in the NFL now that I'm talking about it. And it's just a bad situation. The days of like the Peyton Manning led Broncos, the John Elway led Broncos, and I see my brother starting to come in here. They're over. And they're struggling, or excuse me, not the Peyton-led Broncos, the Peyton Manning-led Colts. Yeah. They're over. They don't have the good offensive coordinator. They don't have good weapons. Their running game is starting to suffer because of that. You know, Jonathan Taylor is showing signs of major regression, and Anthony Richardson is not looking like the answer for the Colts. Unless they sit him and let him season, let him learn, let him watch a successful quarterback.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Wesley,
Pittman,
how you doing, brother?
Wesley, how you going? What's happening?
I think you might be having some audio issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I can hear him, but I can't hear him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's probably gonna have some. He's probably gonna have some opinions on Joe Flacco too. Being he's a Steelers fan.
We'll keep looking at this anyway. Bo Nix.
Oh,
did Bo Nix have a good game or what? It wasn't too bad. 3 touchdowns.
Bo Nix is like looking really good with Sean Payton. It's really not too much of a shock. He's got good size, great arm passing ability. He really, when I saw him drafted, I was thinking kind of like a Drew Brees situation. He's not going to be asked to do too much to start with, but you see him gaining more and more confidence, making plays happen. I mean, even in the loss last week that they had on Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, I think it was Monday Night Football. Even with that loss that he had, he still did not do bad. It's just the other team made things happen when he didn't.
Yep. So looking at the Colts too, like you just said, Taylor, like a lot of rushing yards there. Anthony Richardson, I think he's running too much himself, right? So
you're connecting the audio, Wesley.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can see Anthony Richardson's running a lot. Does that mean he hasn't got other options there? Like Mike Pittman taking the ball, Granson there. He's got options to throw to, but you can just see people telling him, I want you to do this. Play in this box. Don't think outside the box. This is it. This is your little box. And that's what
that box isn't going to succeed in the NFL. It's just not.
I hear like a reverb. I hear
there
him.
You go, brother.
I hear him. I hear him. I hear him.
Wesley, welcome on board here.
Hey, Wes, man.
How are you, man? How are y'all? I just got done doing a real. I had to do an iRacing broadcast. So I've been in race announcer mode, and now we're going to switch over and talk football, right? So thanks for having me, man. It's so cool to have my brother, literally 20 feet behind me. We were at Kenyon Stadium, the home of the UNC Tar Heels, to be up in the Woody Durham broadcast booth for radio, calling a radio broadcast for football. Last night was phenomenal. Having my brother beside me was like icing on the cake. And I'll never forget this Christmas. I'll tell you that much for sure.
That's really good. So I just want to tell you, so you get an idea. This broadcast, it's the only dedicated NFL show in Australia on FM radio, right? So, but get people on the chat about NFL and lots of different stations, but we're still the only one that runs a dedicated NFL show. So, in a community radio station in the Hawkesbury area, but it goes out across Sydney. So, I don't know how big my viewer numbers are or listener numbers, but it's pretty cool. And getting support of the Sydney Gridiron competition and that as well, which is also good. There's a lot of NFL fans in Australia, so
oh yeah,
that's a good game so far.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you just kind of uttered the words community radio. Believe it or not, that's my
That's
company, Community
CRN,
Radio
that's
Network.
right.
Community Radio Network is the name of my business. So you can go to wearecrn.com, Community Radio Network on social media. And yeah, man, I mean, it's all about community. We started, me and Trey Snyde, we bought out 3 and Out Radio. We got the rights to it. Was 3 and Out Radio. When we first started with 3 and Out Radio, I was a consultant for racing and for NASCAR. And he did football, he did basketball. We started doing things together. We had a chance to. We weren't happy with the way 3 and Out. I think Joshua was on 3 and Out Radio as well.
I was talking NFL on 3 and Out Radio.
Yeah. So listen,
Sports
small
talk
world.
with the Shadow Cat.
Small world, Matt. It got to a point where we literally were like, "Did the Steelers score?" Yeah. I love my Steelers, by the way. I love my Steelers. By the way, if we talk about college football playoff, I just want to talk about what a joke the bowl games have been so far. Pardon the pun. But to get back to the subject, I was going to say was that we had a chance to change the format for 3 and Out Radio, and I told Trey, I said, "Look, we need to change everything." I mean, listen, when you're covering a football broadcast or basketball game, right, Matt? And then you got something called the damn Yankee Women or the Red Solo Cup podcast or something. It was like, this is not the image we want. We don't want to be live on the air and say, "Hey, coming up after tonight's broadcast, join us for the damn Yankee people."
Join us for ice dancing.
Right. Join us for the Red Solo Cup podcast. And it's
you
like,
want to
okay.
be focused on like this. This is what we are. We talk sports.
Yeah.
We're a sports network.
Yeah. And so when me and Trey, we said, if we're going to do this, we're going to go in and we're going to change it all. And we changed it. We went from making 3 and Out Radio to become Community Radio Network. We changed the format. We changed the branding. And then Trey wanted to become more of a 24-hour network, music all the time, podcasts, wants to do things with churches, wants to do things with politics. I didn't want a part of it. I think the worst thing you could ever do is get yourself caught up in politics and religion.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to open up that Pandora's box. I don't care how much money they're going to throw at you. It just never works.
That's the gamut where you just will never win.
Exactly.
There's always going to be someone upset at it.
So when COVID hit, Matt, Trey decided to create Next Door Radio, and we basically started to go into a different path. Well, anybody that's in business with somebody else knows that you don't have the reins until you're free, because you got to ask this guy for permission to do this. They got to ask you permission to do this. Trey hated racing. He hated NASCAR. He didn't like the fact that we did racing on CRN. Whenever we did football or basketball, maybe he could come and make 2 out of the 10 games. So literally it got to a point, and Josh knows this because he's great friends with Trey better than I am.
Yeah,
and
I grew up
think
with
the world
him
of Trey
in high
Snyde.
school.
It got to a point, Matt, where it was, is friendship more important than business possibly causing us to become foes? And we said, let's change directions here. You're going this way with Next Door Radio, and he's done phenomenal, by the way. I'm going to take CRN, or we're going to sell CRN. And I said, no, I'm going to keep it. And when I got Community Radio Network, Matt, in the summer of 2020, look at where we started with just a laptop and 2 microphones. Joshua knows. We were nobodies when we called South Johnston football together. And last night was the first time we did a football broadcast. But, Matt, I'll tell you, you see where we've advanced? It's not me. I'm blessed. But I have a great group of people. And Joshua saw a little glimpse of that last night.
It was pretty damn awesome. I want that for us. I want us to get even better.
It's not just me. I'm one guy. It takes a village, Matt, to build it. If the wheel goes off the wagon, it's got to be everybody to come together to put it back together, because if you don't, if it's all on you, it's going to weigh you down. We have an amazing group of people.
I agree with that, right? Because the story of how I did what I've done resonates quite a lot with like what you've done too. So
Yeah.
rings the same bells. Effectively, I didn't kick all of my stuff off. I've been trying to do this since I was 147. So when I was about 9, right, wanted to do this sort of stuff. And as over a 30-year working project, right? And then on the back of a crappy TV, right, still in Australia, rugby union, all of the coverage of rugby union on TV fell over, and a company came along called Clutch TV, and when they come over, they were looking for, they started broadcast games but didn't have commentators. So I emailed them, said, how do you get involved in this? And they said, that's funny, we've been following you and checking you out anyway, what you do, because word of mouth and that stuff, people see
you're in the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Me and Trey, Matt, we called a rugby game before.
Yeah.
We sounded like we were Jekylls and Mr. Hyde. I'm not going to lie to you. I looked at the guy beside me. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I said, Trey, how the hell do you make a try sound like a touchdown? Right? Because anybody that knows rugby knows a try is a touchdown. A scrum. Scrimmage, there's some of the words, the lingo of rugby.
You can see the genesis and the origin of the NFL in rugby. I'll say that.
He comes in and he scores a try.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same effect as touchdown, seriously.
Right.
Like now that he says this, it's like you can go like touchdown.
Yeah, see, Josh, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Don't worry, I heard the guys that commentate the Sydney NFL, because they've only really had commentators this year, and they got a couple of guys from the NFL or Sydney NFL world anyway, and they're a little bit drab and boring, to be honest with you. I don't think they get very excited. It's like
they don't get excited,
the game
like
of chess.
Passionate about it.
Yeah. These guys are like, and they're in for another touchdown. Like, really? They're playing for the bowl,
I'd be like,
the Rose Bowl final or whatever. And yeah,
Matt, I want you to do me a favor, buddy. If I can I give a shameless plug? Go to wearecrn.com when you finish with our coverage here today. Go listen to the football broadcast from last night at Kenan Stadium, and you'll hear literally just like Joshua said. He's like, you're painting a picture in radio because that's what you're doing, right? But the electricity, the emotion, the crowd, the boos, the cheers, the elation, the deflation, you can hear all of that in the broadcast. And like I said, I'm just a play-by-play man, but it takes an amazing group of people like Mark Coates, like Robbie Worrell, like Braxton Cutchin, like Kim Winslow, Jackie Posey, Blake Robertson, the late Bruce Barrett, who passed away. He worked many years with us on CRN. He worked many years with Trey Snide as well at Next Door Radio. And Joshua, me and Joshua, we purposely listened to the game last night when we come to my house, eat dinner, listen to the game till 3 o'clock this morning. And he literally said, it's amazing how we're brothers, but when we're on the air, you're doing a job, I'm doing a job, and there's that respect part, right, Matt? There's the whole, we're working. This isn't brotherly love here. We are brothers, but we're doing our job.
But you have to do your job.
And then at the end of the game, then that's when the emotion settled in, and I'm like, man, and then tomorrow, I'm probably definitely going to get teared up because he's going to be with me in the play-by-play booth, calling the game with me tomorrow for the All-Stars.
That's
I'm
very
excited
cool
for that one. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to take things with us to the next level when I get back in Australia, try to figure out more about media rights, things like that, get coverage where we can actually be announcing the games over there.
Yeah, so I've got some connections with the Sydney NFL competition where I think
that's awesome.
The doors are open. The competition's just finished, right, until next year, but you lay the groundwork for next season. So when it comes back up in September next year, we'll be ready to hit the ground.
But I'll be honest with you, Matt. It is amazing, and I'll say this too. It's amazing the technology. Joshua just hinted on it. If you use it right and you go through the right proper channels, you can do so many great things. Yeah. I mean, literally after COVID sucked. Don't get me wrong. But there were so many great things that came from COVID. You know, I was a full-time race broadcaster. That's all I did, Matt. All I did was calling racing. CRN was just getting started.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit, I went 4 months without work.
Yeah.
I wasn't an essential person. Sports,
That took a back
it
seat.
stopped.
Yeah,
We went from having momentum, getting ready to cover the All-Star games, getting ready to cover the TBL basketball championships in Kentucky, doing racing, NASCAR, everything that I did. I was on the road, as a matter of fact, Matt, heading to Atlanta. It was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I was heading to Atlanta Motor Speedway, and they told us to turn around. NASCAR, they called us, said, "Hey guys, we're shutting the country down. We're pulling the plug. No race. Come home."
It's crazy stuff. Affected a lot of people's mental health too. COVID, so
Yeah, well, thank goodness the good Lord looked after me. Thank goodness that we got a mom. Thank goodness we got a mom and dad, Josh, that we know that are smart. My dad always told me to be the smartest man in the room when it comes to money and know how to spend it and when not to spend it. And luckily, I had a lot of money saved up, and I still do, because I knew that, you know, don't blow it. Make money. Do what you got to do to make amends, to make ends meet, is what I meant to say. But don't, you know, just don't blow a hole out of your wallet, as they say in the expression in radio.
yeah.
And when we finally, and that's what you just saw. Joshua was mentioning iRacing. You saw Mike behind me in the back. I'm right here, guys, right here. You kind of see my little setup office here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see this, but there is a TV monitor.
Yeah.
There is a mixer board. There's headsets. There's all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And when COVID hit, you can literally, you can call races on iRacing, but then, Matt, we can do it in sports. You can do Zoom. You can call races. You can call football. I can't tell you how many times now that if logistics or work or travel or whatever, I can sit right here, Matt, and I can call a football game, a basketball game in real time, and you would have thought that I was live at the arena.
Yeah, 100%.
And they do it all the time now. They do it all the time now in real broadcasting.
That's the thing I see, and it adds value to it, right? It makes the experience better. So I love getting it. When I commentate, I try to get out to the games, because I think it's a different experience. You've got the atmosphere.
There's nothing like the live crowd.
Yeah.
Nothing compares to being live.
When I commentate, it's quite often I get people throw green or blue tins up on the roof. So talking about beers, they throw beers up onto the roof of the places I'm commentating. So I'll scull a beer for them, and the crowd gets into it. So try.
Hey, so Matt, can we talk about the joke that is the college football playoffs?
Yeah. Happy to
Joshua, put Josh on the screen.
I'm here beside it. I don't really follow college, but there's some things.
Get one of my pillows. Grab one of my pillows behind you. Look behind you.
They've seen it. You're roll tide.
I want to show everybody. Just stick it up in the air for everybody, right? Let them see it.
Let's have a look. Tell us what you got, Josh, too.
Russell Wilson almost had it. Oh, he fumbled.
And see, there's another example of why I just damn sure do not like Russell Wilson as the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because this guy is a travesty.
I like this, to get back to talking some football. And yeah, like I said, he's not the slippery little eel he used to be when he was with the Seahawks.
He's not. Look at this. I mean, he has his big Matt firecracker moments that pop up out of nowhere. And then there's other times it's like, what the hell is this guy? Can I say hell on the radio in Australia?
Held on
what
to
the hell is this guy doing? What in the world is he thinking?
So he still thinks he's at Seattle, and I think he still thinks he's 25.
And it doesn't work. He's not the
He
young
suffers from
player
jet
he
lag,
used
I
to
guess.
be.
I don't know, right?
No, I'm suffering from jet lag.
Oh.
I think it's like him and his offensive coordinators want to still see him as the slippery little eel that he used to be in Seattle. He's not. Years
No.
of abuse and just time and regression
No.
have caught up with him. He's got to change up his mindset. That's
He
going to
has
happen to Justin Fields if he's
yes.
not careful.
Yes, and I'll be honest with you. I think it's all in the head, Matt and Josh, like he just said. I think it's all, well, I think I can do this because I've done this for so long. And it's just, dude, you're not what you used to be. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, they're not what they used to be, right? It's time. Look, I'll say this. This is what somebody told me one time, Matt. And I told them this. I said, well, Wesley, how long are you going to be a broadcaster? By the way, I'm 41. I started announcing at 13. Josh can tell you. I started announcing in high school. I started announcing in wrestling and racing at 14. I've been announcing for close to 30 years. Next year will be my 29th year. And I'm only 41 years old. But will I do this forever? I don't know.
I don't think anyone can really, you know?
You might put me in the grave and I announce till the day I die. And then I might wake up one day and say, you know what? I've done it all. I'm happy with what I've done. I've done NASCAR. I've done football. I've done basketball. I've done baseball. I announced in the damn radio booth of the great Woody Durham last night for the Tar Heels Radio Network at Keenan Stadium. I could ride off in the sunset right now and say I've had a great career. But what I'm trying to emphasize is here, Matt, is you got to know when it's time to walk away, especially if you're an athlete. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these guys and it's like they're too stubborn. They don't want to leave. And then they tarnish their legacy by being junk.
Yeah. I'm 47. I still try to play some. I'm 6'5" and don't mind laying people out. So
it's like that old country song, I'm as good as I once was. You know, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. But that's only one time. And if you keep trying to go back to the well, eventually
I believe as we all get older, we realize we ain't got it no more, if you pardon the pun, right? I'm going to say it in a very nice way, right? I mean, people realize as soon as you get older, it's you don't have it like you used to.
Have you watched Eastbound and Down before?
What is it called?
Have you watched Eastbound and Down?
Eastbound and Down. I mean, I'm a fan of Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah. With Kenny Powers.
I was thinking that when I heard that.
Kenny Powers' lifestyle. Danny McBride playing Kenny Powers. Kenny Powers is effectively, I can see he's me trying to make comebacks into my 40s, washed up, done, over the hill. I still think I can be a pro.
There were times, I mean, it happens, right, Matt? I mean, I used to be able to hop, skip, jump around, go anywhere. I was skinny as hell. Now I got about 100 extra pounds on me. And you can ask Josh, I used to be a skinny stick. I love that I've got weight on me. Okay, I don't have a beer gut. I don't have a beer belly. I don't consume alcohol every day of my life. Might drink a beer once in a while. As the monkey on Dr. Doolittle said, I'm a social drinker. But what I will say is like...
Very social.
Very social. Very social. But I will say that... you know, there's a time where you get up in age and you can't, you know,
too hard to do it.
Right. Yeah. You got to pace yourself. You know, Rick Eshelman, the late Rick Eshelman, great friend, voice of the world of outlaws. Me and him called many races together. Loved him to death. He took his life on my birthday of 2021.
Not good.
And he was respected for what he did with the World Outlaws and so many other things he did as an announcer. But he told me a long time ago at Eldora Speedway when I was 17, 18 years old on a park bench in the middle of the Eldora Speedway at the Dream 100. He stopped his announcing duties to take the time to talk with me. And he literally said, get all of the traveling out of your system before you're 50. Because there will come a time when you're 50 or more where you're literally having to travel a day to do one show and rest over to do the next day to rest to go back home because you're so tired.
Yeah.
Justice Hill might be unconscious, you guys. He got hit hard. He's like out cold on the sideline, like
and by the way, I don't know if you know this. Anybody that's a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers guy like me, like Josh is to the Panthers,
Damn.
I hate the Baltimore Ravens. So I hope they get their butt kicked, right? I despise the Ravens.
Yeah. That's all right.
Man, he took a lick right there.
I don't want
He
nobody to get
landed on
hurt
the
like that
wrong
guy just got
leg.
knocked out. I don't like Baltimore. I don't like Baltimore. Just about as much as I don't like Tennessee and I don't like Auburn. Alabama, roll tide all the way.
Whoa, Kev. Dab for me.
Whatever he said, I don't know what he said. I didn't realize he could carry a tune. But I'll tell you this much, Matt. Matt, have you been in America? Have you watched American football? Have you seen the joke that is the college football playoff? Really, we were really entertained last night by Indiana and Notre Dame, and then we saw SMU really booted out Alabama, multi-time national champions, playing some joke. Penn State and Alabama would have been a better football game this afternoon. I'm just telling you.
How do the rankings work for the college football playoffs? Because I want to know how a side that can go.
I don't know. Do you remember the BCS point standings? How they came up with that shit? Part of my language. I'm sorry. Do you remember how they came up with that? The BCS standings. I mean, come on.
How do they work it out? How can you get?
I always thought it was by
12-1 or
like the
13-1
ranking by
and not make the
their
playoffs?
Yeah.
I guess because there were just teams that had better record or something. I don't really get it myself.
Because I've looked at some of the results and like, how are the Big Ten better than some of the other? I don't know. Right? I don't know how it works. So it looks like there's a bit of money greasing the palms there.
Yeah. I mean, how's it happen? And I'll say this much. I'll even be a realist here, even though that I'm the diehardest of diehard Alabama fan. Roll Tide. But what I'll say is this. South Carolina, the Gamecocks, some other teams that got kind of shafted would have made a better football game than freaking Southern Methodist University.
Well, what was their record? What were they put in?
They played a crappy schedule. They did not play any hard teams until they got into their conference. They played the bottom feeder of the conference because SMU's new to the ACC. And by the way, let me clarify that. How the hell was a team based out of Texas all the way in the Atlantic Coast Conference?
Someone's got spun the wheel in front of that.
I mean, and you can see the writing on the wall when they put the Miami Hurricanes and Boston College in the same realm of the Atlantic Coast Conference with State, UNC, Carolina, Clemson, Florida. I'm just like, what in the world? I'll be honest. I don't think Florida State should have been in the ACC.
I don't really follow college, so I can't comment on it. But I know the NFL has things like that too.
Right, but it's just like, but Joshua, if you got common sense though, brother. A team, Southern Methodist, based out of Texas, and you're in the ACC. Southern Methodist, you've got Texas Longhorns in the SEC. They should have just went ahead and created another conference, Matt. That's what they should have done. They should have created the Deep South Conference or the New Mexico League Conference or something. Come on. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. It's two top conferences in college sports. You know what they are? The ACC and the SEC. And SEC is always number one, in my opinion.
Is that because of the money that gets put into it or what?
I mean, there's a number of things. It could be the money. It could be the politics. It could be the long lasting, how long they've been there. I'll be honest with you. Kalen DeBoer, he didn't have a bad year as a coach. He didn't have a bad year as a coach. Be honest. He didn't have a bad year coaching Alabama. But here's the thing. He's the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and he was the successor of one of the greats of college football in Nick Saban. They demand perfection.
Now, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think Nick Saban is the best college football coach of all time?
Between him and Paul Bear Bryant, yes.
Yeah. Do you think Bill Belichick's
There's
going
a
to do
close
anything?
tie between those two guys, and where do they come from? Alabama.
Yeah. Do you think Bill Belichick's going to do anything at North Carolina?
I think it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
Here we go again. We just mentioned about Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is not the same coach that he was when they were dominating in the Patriots.
I think a lot of Belichick's greatness was literally because of Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
I mean, because you got to wonder how he would have ended up looking if he had not paired with Tom Brady when he did. Now, he carried Tom Brady when he was younger, but Tom Brady eventually outdid the coach. He outlived his teacher, which is, that's the burden of teaching, is your student is always going to end up surpassing you. And I think that's what happened between Brady and Belichick.
No, exactly. And I'll be honest with you. I agree with Josh. Tom Brady, look at what he did, Matt. He left the New England Patriots, right? And he said, actually, this is what happened. He wanted more money. I think he was entitled to more money. Robert Kraft wanted to be a tightwad because he had too much macaroni and cheese stuck up where. He didn't want to give it. Bill Belichick and him parted ways. And then Tom Brady said, well, you know what? I'm going to go to Tampa Bay. And I'm going to bring Tampa Bay a championship. He did it in 2 years. The Buccaneers went to the playoffs.
He won his first year and with the Bucs.
Yeah.
They won the ring. The second year they got stopped, but the first year
he ran the table and won the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm trying to. Was that 2021?
Over the Chiefs.
Was it 2021? I think it was. It was still during that COVID era where there was limited.
2021. I won't say.
Yeah, it was 2020 or 2021. I think it was 2021. It was right after COVID. I think it was. I think I was down in Florida. Yeah.
Tom Brady only made one big mistake in his life, and that's breaking up with Giselle Bunkin. So that was a mistake.
Oh, she was a you-know-what, man. Come on. Don't let me say the word.
She was cheating on him the whole time,
Don't even get me started, for sure. Yeah. Gold diggers and, purse snatchers and everything else.
But she had her own money, though. I mean, you can't call her a gold digger. She had a successful modeling
she jumped
career.
on the fame. She jumped on the fame wagon of what Tom Brady was.
Probably.
Bottom line. I mean, look what happened. Here's a prime example. What happened? He got big. He retired. She chewed him up and spit him out.
Pretty much.
That's what happened.
I think it's because he didn't want to retire.
You're not playing football no more.
It.
Deuces. I'm gone. See ya.
But see, the public story was she wanted him to retire. They made him like a martyr, saying that he wouldn't retire and be with her and his kids, so she left him. But then, turn around 3 months later and she's in a relationship with someone. That's that's
so Tom Brady.
No, that's just the true statement that women don't like to be lonely long, and neither do men.
Yeah. So Tom Brady's he worth the $375 million for 10 years that ESPN are paying him? You would pay that?
I'll be honest with you, as somebody that's a commentator. As somebody as a commentator, Matt, I mean, I think he sucks. Sorry.
They got him as a pundit, I think.
Just throwing it out there.
You gotta let him
the Kevin Burkhardt for Fox is one of the worst play-by-play men for football ever. I don't know what the hell Fox was thinking, putting him in the booth to be the successor of Joe Buck. I just don't.
That is a bit of a downgrade.
Gus Johnson has a better opportunity calling NFL football than I think Kevin Burkhardt does. He's blank. Listen to the games. Matt, you just mentioned it about Australian football announcers.
Yeah.
Aussie rugby. Listen to the American football guys. The only guy that really gets excited, in my opinion, is Joe Buck.
Yeah.
Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are the Pat Summerall, John Madden of this era, calling football. Just being honest.
Bad when you think about it.
You need the passion, right? If you don't have passion, then you just look like you're reading off a script. And
I'm actually a fan of Tony Romo because you can tell he knows what he's talking about, but at the same time, he gets too damn Mahomes happy.
Tony Romo is a good a good color guy. Tony Romo impressed me. He did. He shows his favoritism sometimes. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know if you remember Joe Tessitore. Joe Tessitore.
No, I don't
Joe
remember.
Tessitore.
Yeah, Joe Tessitore called Monday Night Football before Joe Buck and the Aikman era began. Joe Tessitore was good. He had a very good voice. He had a great delivery. He knew how to punch it. And you know, I don't know. They get these robots up here in these booths now, and it's horrible. You know, I mean, they hurt the game. As somebody that is a veteran broadcaster of 30 years,
Yeah, they were trying to call a play to
I've done any and everything, Matt. I've done NASCAR to Daytona to, you know, football last night at Kenan Stadium. But I can tell you that as a veteran broadcaster of close to 30 years, you have to have the ability to entertain your audience.
That's
And
entertainment
this
game. If you're not in
industry,
that.
yeah, Matt, this industry changed after COVID, dude. It changed.
Yeah,
It went into sex appeal. Don't even get me going about NFL. Listen, okay, we want to stay on topic with NFL. So listen to this, and if you guys don't believe me, go back and look it up on social media or on YouTube, Josh and Matt, and anyone else out there.
Amazing. I mean,
The woman, what's her name, Josh? Who does the Thursday Night Football on Amazon, that blonde bimbo? What's her name? I don't even know her name. That's how much she means to me, Matt. A couple of weeks ago, and this is what blew me away, Matt. I'm watching football on television on Thursday night, Amazon on Prime. You got Al Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit in the booth. By the way, Al Michaels and Kirk are pretty good too. I'll give them credit. I think Al and Kurt are better than Kurt and Chris Fowler calling college.
Yeah.
But I will say this, though. This woman had the audacity in the broadcast booth to say there was something about a three-man front, three-man defense, three-man front, whatnot. She comes back and she says, wow, I thought that's only what you saw in a threesome in a bedroom.
Just directed traffic and changing a play.
Wow. I missed
I'm
this
like,
one.
What?
You gotta keep it all above board, right?
I can't talk. I like to say someone gets gangbang sacked when it's like 3 or 4 on a quarterback, but
the word threesome as a national anchor, Joshua, is very different. I mean, seriously. And I'm just like, if I'd have said that,
nah, you would have been canceled, as they
they'd
say.
have went to a commercial break and kicked me off the air immediately.
I wouldn't
Like,
have said that.
how
You
the
get
hell
out
did
of
they
all
get the golden pass?
Yeah. There's different
If
things.
we
they let
started
people
talking
go.
about double standards in society and things like that, we'd be here all till midnight.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
We'll
So,
do that. We'll keep
listen,
on
I don't want to
kicking
take up much of your show. I know that you and Joshua host this thing. Thank you for having me on for a segment, for chatting for a little bit. I'm honestly want to go watch my Steelers football and the
That's fine.
Ravens.
They're
Absolutely
struggling
my
too.
pleasure to
4th
have
down
someone on
Steelers.
in the States that's passionate, particularly about Steelers. So I want to ask you a quick one before you go, Wesley.
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Steelers, they've got it forever and a day. They've been known as the iron tough team.
The steel curtain. The steel curtain,
Still
brother.
curtain.
Steel curtain.
They built other teams, right? So defensively, and they use that as their weapon now. So they've had to go a lot more offensive the last couple of years. They've been a better side for it as well. Do you think they've still got the steel curtain, all of the roots?
They got to rebuild it.
I think that it is. I think that it is a new steel curtain defense. It's not the smash mouth in your face up the line, run you dry, make you get tired program on the defensive level. It's not the bus. It's not Jerome Bettis. It's not Chris Polamalu. It's not any of them. It's not Terry Bradshaw. It's not any of the
It's something
big names
different
of the black and yellow. It is a different defense, but you got to be honest. This is a different NFL.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's really
We
what it
are a
comes
victim
down
of
to.
our own demise by the NFL just changing the rules constantly. And because of them changing the rules, I think it's changed the outcome of the game. It changes the way the game is played. So Do I think Pittsburgh's going to do well in the playoffs? Listen, I think the world of Pittsburgh. I think Mike Tomlin's a talent.
Nope.
But I think that if they don't find a way to work on that defense, like you said, Matt, they're going to go. They're going to be sent to the locker room before the second round. I think they could go to the first or second round. Would I love to say they could go far? Would I love to say they could go back and win the championship, win the Super Bowl? When was the last time they won the Super Bowl? 2012? I think it was. No. They lost to Green Bay.
2009. Over the Cardinals.
2009 was the last time they won the Super Bowl. So
At
it's
least
been a
you won
while.
one, damn it.
Well, they're the
You
all-time
got
winners
one.
of the NFL, by the way. People don't know that. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the most Super Bowls of anybody on in the trademark. So for sure.
Well, I'll go for the Lions, right? And the Lions haven't made a Super Bowl since 1958.
Hey, look, Lions was good. That's a new Detroit Lions, right? I mean, come on, get
I
Axel
think
Foley
they're
out
the
of
team
here.
in the NFC.
Yeah. You look at the Lions from back in the day, Matt. Look at Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Look at how talented Barry Sanders was
But
as
that
a
was all they
solo
had.
talented player.
That was all they had, though.
If Barry Sanders would have had the entire package like you see now with Detroit,
Oh, he'd have won.
you
Oh,
would
good
probably.
God.
I would be hard pressed to say that Detroit could run the table for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Literally.
They're
mean,
I'll
building
say
up for
this:
it.
when they talk about the greatest running back of all time, if Barry Sanders had like what Emmitt Smith had in Dallas, or like what the Lions are nowadays, Barry Sanders wouldn't be like number 3, number 4. He'd be probably number 1, if not number 2, behind Jim Brown. It'd be like
and
1A,
another
1B.
Yeah, and another one would be probably Walter Payton. I mean, look at how great he was with Chicago, with the Bears. I mean, the Steelers of the Midway. Remember how good they were back in the 80s? The 85 Bears,
The terrors of
84,
the
83,
Midwest,
86.
the Bears.
You
So
know,
the
I mean,
biggest
come on.
thing, the biggest thing that makes me sad about Barry Sanders is he retired at 30, right? He probably had 5
damn
to 7
young.
years left in the
But,
tank.
but Matt, hang on here. He knew it was time to go.
Yeah.
Listen how imagine how worn out his body was,
Yeah.
even at 30 years old. Let's be honest
he was
here.
the offense of the Lions in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was
So he
it.
took a pounding. Pardon the pun. He took a pounding, literally. Every time he held the ball, he got knocked, dropped, slapped, decked, hit, got up, had to shake it off. Because let's be honest, Detroit had nothing offensively back then but Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
That's
So
why I say I wasn't a Lions fan before the Carolina Panthers. I was a Barry Sanders fan.
Yeah.
That was all he had. It's amazing the difference between the Lions of the 90s and the Lions of now, which is kind of a great segue considering the next game on the docket, I think, was the Bills and the Lions.
You want me to give you my Mount Rushmore of running backs?
Yeah.
Barry
absolutely.
Sanders. Barry Sanders would definitely be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders. Emmitt Smith. Hands
that's
down.
a good call.
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
Right? Would definitely be in that list. Probably a close tie of the last two would probably be, man, I want to say, I can't even think of them.
Now you got to pick that fourth one, and that's your problem.
Yeah. And see, that's the issue. That's my point. That's why I said what I said. Here's your Mount Rushmore. I can think of 3 great running backs. Everybody else.
I'll throw out a newbie for you.
Shannon Sharp. I'll give him credit. Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
He was good.
What about Derrick Henry
4.
now?
Do what now?
Where do you rate Derrick Henry now?
See, I think he's got to be starting to get in that mix.
Yeah,
He's got to be in there.
He's good. It's all changed, though,
Even
guys.
if he's a Raven.
just-
I know you
it's-
don't want to give him credit for that, but
So
Well-
I'm going to throw out a conspiracy to you before you go, too. David Montgomery.
I'll stay with
And-
you until halftime, and then I'm leaving. Okay, I'm watching the second half of the game.
That's
Screw
cool.
the Ravens.
David Montgomery,
And they're up
775
again.
yards,
Damn
right? That's what he run for the year. And he got injured, right?
injured.
Now, I
Yeah,
heard,
yeah.
so this has just come out in Sydney today, right? I heard that all the betting agencies and that in Las Vegas had him paying 1,000 to 1 that he'd get 775.5 yards. Now he gets injured and he's out for the year.
Oh, wow.
That sounds suspicious to me. So, is it conspiracy theory? Yeah. Is there any truth to it? I wouldn't think so because it's got a legitimate injury, but it doesn't look.
But how
good, right, when
legitimate
you
is
hear
that
sort of
injury?
noise.
When you hear that he's coming back for the playoffs, when you think about it, if you have a well-rested running back like David Montgomery for the playoffs, that's a hell of a wild card to have in your back pocket in the NFC.
Pretty good to go with Jamar Gibbs because they've all been getting the job done. So.
Matt, conspiracy theory. I'm envious of you right now. It looks like you look like you're at the beach. You got a margarita, definitely a big
every
street.
time we talk, man.
The palm trees, the waves in the background. Is that your real setting? Are you like literally sitting on the back deck of a beach and just doing a radio show? Like really?
No, I'm in Western Sydney, so this is appropriate for the weather, right? So it's like going to be 30, 34, 35 degrees Celsius in Sydney today. So that's your.
Yeah, I'm
Be close to
despising you
100
right now because it's
degrees over
40.
here.
It's 42 degrees here in North Carolina. It's
I
cold.
love it.
It's cold.
I love this nice chilly weather. Damn it! I'm glad to be back
I wish
in
it was
it.
damn. I wish it was summertime all the time. So
Maybe
seriously,
you
I
should
really
go
do.
to Australia, Wesley.
But no, guys. Back to the topic at hand about running backs, right?
Yeah.
And let's be honest with you. I mentioned the Mount Rushmore. I can only think of 4 of the 5 that I can say in the NFL they're talented. They should be in that list.
Yeah. So I've said to Josh in the last couple of weeks, I've thrown out a conspiracy theory that I reckon teams are after other people's quarterbacks are working out who the next one to go is. So running it
We're
on
talking about
Matt
quarterbacks
Stafford,
getting injured.
Stafford or Purdy. Who do you think's going to be the next to get injured and unfortunately finish the team season?
Russell Wilson. I'm sorry.
You know what? I don't think it would finish the Steelers season if Russell Wilson got hurt, though. I think they need to let Justin Fields have another shot.
And listen, and I'll be honest with you. This is what really ticks me off. It's not that I don't like Russell Wilson. He's a good quarterback when he played for the Seahawks. But I do dislike the fact that Justin Fields was coming to his own. He was building his own personality, his own adaptation of play with his teammates, and then all of a sudden they slammed the door on him and put in Russell
That's the
Wilson.
front office, you know.
And that's what sucks. Let the coaches and let them people do their job. Don't let the front office and politics dictate what happens on the field. And I feel like that's what happened. I feel like that's what happened. Justin Fields is such a talent if they would give him the chance. And I feel like they haven't given him the chance. And I would be just like all them college people in the transfer portal. And I'd tell them to stick it up your, you know what, Steelers? I'm going somewhere else. And I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I just, come on, man.
So would you be happy if the Steelers signed, let's say, Daniel Jones?
Oh, God.
From Washington?
Yeah.
He's in Minnesota now after New York, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, where the hell's this guy gone to now, man? He's got like travel plans. He's got a travel agent. He don't have a sports agent. He's got a travel agent wherever he goes, right?
Wesley.
I mean, come on. Well, listen, he had a phenomenal, what was it, a Hail Mary pass in that football game? A month or so ago, remember at Washington? Was it Washington and Houston? I think they played. Was it them? When he made that big Hail Mary pass and got the win?
65,
I think you're thinking about Jaden
was
Daniels' brother, not Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the quarterback the Giants have had like the past 5 years. He hasn't progressed.
Oh, we're talking about the Giants. Oh, they suck. Yeah, keep him where he's at. Yeah. I never really cared for the Giants anyway. The only Giants I ever pulled for was the movie with Rick Moranis and O'Neill. That's all I'm going to say, right?
When the
Giants beat the Cowboys in that movie, Little
we
Giants.
Watch
that's
that
what it was.
later.
The Little Giants. The Little Giants. That's the only team I ever liked when it came to the Giants, right? Like, come on.
So we're going to have a look at one game before you go too. Hopefully got enough time to do it. Last week, Cardinals and Patriots, 30-17. The Cardinals got up. No big surprise. Have they got enough in the tank to make a run to get a wild card?
Well, they got a pretty good running schedule, I'll say that. They got the Panthers this week. James Conner, I'm a Panther fan. I'm going to tell you, 150 yards and 2-3 touchdowns.
Across the field wide open, he just couldn't.
So do you think he can make the playoffs with 9 and 8? But because
Who?
I don't know if they can get 10.
Arizona Cardinals, they're in the NFC West. They're right in the thick of it between Seattle because, again, the 49ers have fallen off a cliff after their injuries. Their entire running back stable are injured. And who else? The Rams, they're just kind of in the middle there. They're not quite the wild card. They're not going to win the division. So it looks like it's a 2-horse race between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I do think the Seahawks are going to pull it out, though.
Yeah. If the Cardinals, well, I can tell you this, whoever comes second, if you don't have 10-7, you're going to miss out on a wild card. You won't get it. There's too many other sides that have got.
Well, I'll just, how do I say this in the nicest way? If the NFL,
Man, Justin Tucker is struggling this year.
if the NFL continues down the course that they're going, of changing the rules, changing the game of play, we're going to run off our fan base.
Sure, and having that confidence in him, and
I think it's happening already.
They don't have you got to worry about making the next generation, especially as a Panther fan. I worry about that. I see it. You don't see young people at the games.
Oh, man, let me tell you, the Panther fans, not Joshua because he's a diehard, but the Panthers fake fans are a bunch of hypocrites. I will say it loudly, proudly, truthfully. And I'm proud to be from Carolina, but there are hypocrites of the Panthers football nation. They jump on the bandwagon.
When they're doing good.
Go, go Panthers. Oh, go do this. Oh, go do that. Whenever they losing, they literally put a paper bag over their face before they purchase a ticket at the game.
So we call them fair weather fans in Australia.
Yeah,
they're
I hate it.
Yeah, you're fair weather, all
They
right.
hurt
You
the
go jump
sport
over
if you ask
go
me.
join Columbus and sell the ocean blue. Carry a football too. Bottom line, right? I mean, seriously. Because and listen, it's not just the Panthers; it's everybody in general. I am one of those people that, you know, if I'm a diehard fan, good, bad, win, lose, draw, thick or thin, I've got you. I'm still. You can ask Joshua. I've loved the Steelers since I was a kid.
My team is my team, even if we're the worst in the damn league. I still will proudly wear my Panthers.
I like Detroit when Detroit were bad, so it's good.
That's what makes years like this even sweeter, man. When you stick with them through the good, through the bad, through the ugly, through the Bobby Lane curse of the last 50 years that the Lions endured, now seeing them as like the class of the NFC, that's what makes it all worth it. I'm not even a Lions fan, and I love the ride they're on. I hope I see them win the damn Super Bowl, honestly. Yeah. I really want to see it happen.
So they play. That's the next game we're looking at. The Lions up against the Bills last week. 48-42 win for the Bills there. Just really felt like that's a big kidney punch to the Lions, right? It hurt them a bit. They've lost Montgomery with the conspiracy theory injury. They've lost one of the players got broken jaw. Someone else had a broken arm or something. So burning through players injury wise, but the Bills just got in front early, and just the Lions were chasing it after that for the rest of the game. Really, Josh Allen had it in cruise control. But how good's this for stats, right? Jared Goff. I've never heard stats. Someone throw 38 out of 59, 494 yards, and 5 touchdowns and lose. You just don't even hear it.
Because the Bills are a more complete team, I think. This honestly might be a Super Bowl preview. I'm thinking that. Because I don't think the Chiefs are quite the power we're used to seeing them this year. They've fallen off a little bit.
Oh, listen, the Panthers almost beat the Chiefs the other week ago. Literally.
Yeah.
They barely survived that game.
And
Denver
then they barely survived the other game, and then they lost to the Bills.
They've had 3 games in a row where they had to kick a field goal to win.
Exactly.
3 back-to-back games. So and listen, you talk about shelf life of a player. Patrick Mahomes.
He's burning through his.
How long is he going to last? Because just like Joshua said, he's going too hard, too fast. He did have an injury, but last week had an injury.
He got injured again today. He played through this spring, and you can see him limping.
He should have never played today.
Nope.
He should have never played today. I was having a discussion with somebody about that last night. I thought Patrick Mahomes was done for the year because they said his injury last night was possibly going to have surgery and everything else. But that's that mentality of, oh, I'm the star player. Oh, I'm the man. I've got to play. I've got to go. I've got to do this. Well, you continue to have that mentality, Matt, and you're going to end up being on the shelf for life. And I think that's what's going on with Patrick Mahomes, right? I mean, listen, I'll say this, and I'm gonna get off here, because I've been sitting in this chair since about 1 o'clock this afternoon. I've been sitting in the chair for 5 hours. My butt's numb. What I will say is this: the NFL is not what it used to be. They need to find a way to fix it. Is all the bad things that Roger Goodell and the powers that be in the NFL have done are bad? No, they're not. But I also want to say that if they don't find a way to start fixing things, they're going to lose their audience. They're going to lose their audience. I saw it myself last Sunday. We went to the Panthers-Cowboys football game. I'm not going to lie to you, Matt, and I said it to Josh. And I know because I was high up in the nosebleed sections.
They certainly are.
There was more Cowboy fans at the game than the Panthers were.
And if we're being honest, there weren't a lot of people in general. And
there wasn't a big crowd either.
Both teams are losing. It was yucky weather at the end of the year, but I remember the years when Bank of America had 80,000 seats and they could fill the entire stadium.
I remember when it was sold out and the town of Charlotte was behind Carolina, the 50th anniversary season of the NFL of the Super Bowl, and they put the damn blue lights up during the run to the Super Bowl for the Panthers. I remember on a cold night in January, right before the Super Bowl happened, where Carolina and Seattle, hello Russell Wilson, they played each other in the freezing cold with snow on the ground.
And the crowd was rocking.
Yes. So don't give me all this about weather and cold and
it's the fact as well. They don't give a damn.
That there are, like you said, fair weather fans, fairy fans, as you mentioned. They jump on the bandwagon. Listen, it got so bad, Matt, that Joshua's favorite team, the Panthers, you could buy tickets on game day for $2
last year.
In this effed up economy that we live in the United States. I don't know how it is in Australia, but it's horrible here in the Carolinas.
I picked the wrong damn year.
I'm glad we get rid of Joe Biden. Goodbye, buddy.
I picked
Goodbye,
the wrong
farewell,
year to
friend.
come back to America.
when you can buy a ticket with a sucky economy of America for $2, that's got to tell you something.
Yeah.
I wonder what those players are thinking of that locker room. Man, I get paid $15 million for a salary cap, right? And I only get $2. We're selling tickets for $2. Are the Panthers really that desperate? Here's what they need to do, and I'm gonna shut up. They need to fire everybody. Get rid of them all. And if you don't want to jump on board and play the game, you're fired too, players. They need to totally do a cleaning. They need to do a sweep. You know what they call it? Sweep cleaning, right? Clean. They go in there and take them all out.
Clean sweep.
Clean them all out, Matt. Get rid of them all. Get rid of the damn general manager. Get rid of the clown that puts the Gatorade in the water jugs. Get rid of the coach. Get rid of the assistants, the offensive, defensive coordinators, everybody that holds the towels, the ball boy. Get rid of them all.
I feel like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater on
and bring in a brand new group. Bring in the new group for the Panthers. I think they are. And it's just not Carolina either. We're talking about New York. We're talking about Dallas. Yeah. Fire that damn coach. Come on, Jerry Jones. Get rid of that coach.
I'm amazed he's still around, honestly. You see that. He's probably got one of the hottest hot seats in the NFL. I'm amazed he's made it this long. I do think the writing's on the wall.
Here's a guy, Mike McCarthy.
Here's the guy.
Matt. that jumped on the bandwagon. No, listen, seriously. He jumped on the bandwagon whenever, Rodgers was hot, right? Got himself a Super Bowl ring with the Packers.
But he coasted. He didn't do anything with it.
Thank you. And then Rodgers is gone. What are we going to do? Oh, let's go to Dallas. I'm going to turn things around in Dallas. Dallas is nothing like they used to be. Jerry Jones. Get rid of that guy.
They need to get rid of Jerry Jones, if you ask me.
That's the money man. I don't think you're going to get rid of Jerry Jones.
He's got the cash. I think the Cowboys
I don't think you'll get rid of Jerry, Matt and Josh. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think you'll get rid of Jerry Jones.
He won't fire himself, but that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get rid of Jerry Jones. I really don't. He's the guy that's got the money. So,
scandal like Richardson was.
Yeah,
he's got to be bought out by the NFL like Jerry Richardson was. That's it, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt, all I'll say is this, Matt and Josh, all I'll say is this is, we got some pansies in the NFL now, right? We got guys that are getting contracts and make big, big bucks. And if they skin their knee, they want to be put on injured reserve because they're making bokus of money. My dad tells me this all the time. So they don't deserve that damn kind of money running that football. I'd give $1 million and send their ass home, right? That's my dad's mentality. Josh knows that. That's his mentality, right? He's like, they can get too much as it is.
And you know what? He's right.
Seriously.
We talked about that on this show. Ain't no damn man worth freaking $2 million, much less the $500 million Mahomes is making.
You're based on.
You'll never see that.
I mean, there's too much of a price tag put on these guys, and that's why you see Patrick Mahomes doing the things that he's doing, Matt. Because I get injured, well, I got to play. I got to get out here. I got to perform because we don't know about this, guys, but there's got to be clauses in those contracts, right? There's got to be clauses where, you have to perform this much. You have to do this much on the field. You have
they
to
literally
do this.
do have those. They
literally call them just so read on the fine dotted line. It's like what the great Ray Kroc said, the man that turned over McDonald's from the McDonald's brothers and turned it into the dynasty franchise that it is. Contracts are like hearts. Sometimes they're meant to be broken. And what I mean by that, and what he meant by that quote, is the fact that if you read through the dotted line of any contract that's ever made, there's loopholes and there's ways where you can get out of them.
Unless you're the Browns with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
They're stuck paying him.
Take care, Joshua. It's great having you here in the Carolinas. Great having you here behind me right now.
Love you, brother. See you in about 5 minutes.
Yes, because I'm going to watch my Steelers, Matt. I'm sorry, but you're messing with my TV time. I love my Steelers, all right? I love my Steelers. And I keep turning around going like, son of a...
So good. Thanks, Wesley. I really appreciate having you on with an American perspective on everything.
Hey, anytime you ever want to have me on again, and Josh is actually across 18,000 miles across the ocean, when Columbus kicks his butt across the blue and sends it back to Australia after the holidays, just reach out to me, reach out to Josh. We'll connect on Zoom. Hey, here's another prime example, as I said in closing, with the technology. He's behind me on there. I'm here where I'm at. You're 18,000 miles in Australia.
And on a beautiful blue sky beach.
Yeah, you lucky. Matt, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, man. God bless you all. And to all you Aussies out there, have a Vegemite sandwich on me. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you too, Wesley, and your family. And just keep on following this. You'll like it. So have a good one.
Vegemite sandwich. While we're at it, we'll put some shrimp on the barbie. Let's piss off all the Aussies listening. Oh man.
So let's keep going. So what did you make of that game, Josh? The Lions and the Bills, 48-42.
First off, I'm going to say this. They need to change the damn onside kick rules. That ticks me off. I know we talked about this in the messenger. Under those rules that they have now for the onside kicks, you have to announce that you're going to kick the ball on sides. Where's the surprise? I think it's like 3 of 45 in onside kicks, and the only reason why an onside kick has been recovered is because it just happened to bounce back into their hands. Under these rules, the New Orleans Saints should not have won their Super Bowl. Does that mean you're going to go back and take the Saints Super Bowl from them and put an asterisk on it or something like that? I felt like the head coach went for the onside kick a little bit too soon. I mean, that's a heck of a risk. If you don't recover it, you're giving the ball right at midfield. And that literally was the points that won the game for the Bills. Who's to say if the Lions did not play defense, kick the ball deep, who's to say that we don't have a 42 all overtime? Who's to say they don't even freaking tie? I know in the NFL, tie is like kissing your sister, but at least you get that rather than that outright L.
Well, potentially the Lions would have won 42-41 because the Bills kicked that one as well, right? So when they got the touchdown.
There you go. I think what really happened here is the Lions their propensity to start slow and or start fast and then not step on their opponent's necks. I think it finally bit them.
Yeah.
I think it finally came back. They started too slow. They were behind the 8 ball, like you said, the entire way, and they just dug themselves a hole that once that onside kick was added and you basically gave the Bills another free possession, it was just too much to overcome.
Yeah. So Amon Ross and Brown, 1 touchdown, 193 yards. Like that's a big day out for him. So
that's a superstar doing superstar things. It's
yeah.
like Steve Smith used to say, if you see this face, that means I scored. If you see this face again, that means I scored again. And, big players making big time moments and big plays and big time moments. But it just wasn't enough because Josh Allen, he made big plays. I think this game here, he solidified himself as the MVP with 2 weeks left. It won't be Lamar Jackson. It won't be Derrick Henry. Or it won't be Saquon Barkley. It'll be Josh Allen. And the crazy thing about that is Josh Allen, as good as he was, Jared Goff was even better. But it just wasn't enough to win because of that one extra possession that the Bills got where they started at midfield because of that onside kick. The head coach has always had big balls, and I think that combined with the slow start, it came back to haunt them. I really hope that the NFL takes this game into consideration and cancels the onside kick rules that they made for this year because they absolutely suck.
So I've seen Detroit get dudded, not just on that. Like I don't know why you should have to declare your hand to the other team that they can see what you can do.
It is stupid.
Yeah.
Like literally, the whole thing about the onside kick is the surprise of it.
Detroit 2 years ago when we got done 9-8, right? Or we finished with 9-8, could have got 10-7, would have made the playoffs a couple of years back. But there was a touchdown, trying to think, was it against the Bears or 49ers? We lost the game, but the person who got the touchdown, so when they received the pass, apparently because they had a defensive player coming on to pull off a move, they forgot to report to the referees, does a flag. If you're good enough to pull the play off, why do you need to declare if you're going to receive the ball? Like, can't you pass it to anyone?
It's like, why do you have to call yourself available when you're on the field in the offensive formation in the first place? Yeah. I think what Wesley said is true, and I being an NFL fan, like I love watching all the games. My Panthers don't play until tomorrow. I'll watch them while I'm doing the broadcast with him. But I love watching all the games. Hell, I was getting excited during the game last night, and I don't know none of them. I literally don't know none of these kids from Adam, and I was getting into it on the sidelines, announcing and getting into the games as well. I love football. But all these changes that we've made, I actually do have to say I agree with my brother on that one. If they don't stop, it's going to turn the NFL into something it's not meant to be. Like you hear all the time, the flag football league, that's the way it's going. The days of the hard-hitting safeties that would take your head off if you dared to run a route, they're going away. It's like we talked about with baseball, how they freaking take their fields from like 400 or from like 500 feet, and then they turn them to 430 feet and then want to celebrate how they've got more home runs. It's like, well, what do you expect? You made the field 70 feet shorter. I guess I'm sorry, I don't know the coordinates between feet and kilometers in Australia. But it's like you made it so much shorter. You want to celebrate the offensive explosion without accepting, hey, the only reason we got this is because one, you've added more games in the season. Two, you've made it so damn easy for offenses to score. I mean, in the NFL, it's automatic first down and a spot of the foul penalty the minute there's a defensive pass interference called. Not only that, about 99.9% of the time, it's unchallengeable. It literally is like a systemic kind of condemning corruption happening in the NFL. You see it's getting softer. Like Wesley said, a player will get a sprained ankle or turf toe. I've seen turf toe, I don't know how many times, and seen players miss 5 weeks with it. Where like the days of a Ronnie Lott who cuts his finger off mid-game and plays through it. In some ways, the NFL's getting better. I liked with their progression on things like concussions. I like that. But in other ways, it's like they've gone too far in the other direction, too far toward player safety, too far toward trying to have high scoring offenses. The NFL is supposed to be a ground and pound, dirty, play the game in the elements kind of game. It's not for everyone. It's not ballerina, as they say. Ironically, some of the best football players are ballerinas because it gives them balance. But it's not supposed to be a soft man's game. It's not supposed to be, high scoring. Defenses have to have their day too. You as a defensive player, I know you're like shaking your head like,
100%.
yes, he finally gets it. It's like, I get it. You want to protect your players, you want to protect your investments, but they're hurting the sport overall because they're so focused on the splash, the hype. They're taking away the substance.
Yeah. They're making it like so flag football, Australian equivalent. They call it OzTag or touch football. It's that they're taking it out, and it's a different sport. It's a completely different sport. It doesn't have as much luster because anyone can do it, and not anyone can play NFL, and it should remain like that.
Exactly.
So
It's just like an exclusive thing. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be high octane. I mean, if you get a team that's like the greatest show on turf was, they were great at offense in a time where defense was still a bit of a premium. They were like the beginning of it. I think the
Yeah.
NFL got such a kick off of how good the Rams were, the whole worst to first story, that they wanted to try to make it synthetically, and it just doesn't work. Now it seems like you see there's more teams that are trying to have those big passing plays, those big wide receivers, the big high scoring affairs, that they neglect their defense. Meanwhile, you got teams like the Steelers and the Ravens here. They play the kind of football that I like to see, the old school ground and pound, play hard defense, force them to run, force them to pass. That's how football will always be played to me. They have that old school mentality.
100%. We'll go in the next game. The Eagles and the Steelers, 27-13 to the Eagles. They're just in cruise control this one, weren't they? Jalen Hurts was good. They used their running options there. Saquon Barkley smashed it up, busting it up. Jalen Hurts was running a fair bit there. Gainwell was running, Brown, everything. So I had a bit of a mixed bag there. Good day for Jalen Hurts. And like I said, brother would have been upset. Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Couldn't bring it against someone that needed to bring it against if they're going to be serious contenders.
We were listening to this game on the way back from Bank of America Stadium, and I thought my brother was going to crash the car because he was raising pure hell at the radio. He's like, damn it, Russell Wilson. Damn this, damn that, damn Saquon Barkley. I think what happened really is the Steelers and the Eagles were neck and neck. And once TJ Watt got injured, their rush defense went down. They couldn't stop Saquon Barkley. They couldn't stop Jalen Hurts and the dreaded tush push brotherly shove. And the game got away from them. They
by the
looked
end
a
of the
lot
second
better
quarter,
with
it was
TJ
it.
Watt back in.
Yeah, So that was it. So the Eagles, they're starting to look good again. I wouldn't say they look Super Bowl good again, but they look like they're definitely improving a lot.
I don't
Seahawks
think the Eagles would have beat the Bills though. I don't think, like, everyone wants to celebrate the Eagles having the best win streak in the NFC side, but look who they've played. They've kind of had a bit of a pie schedule for the most part.
Yeah, they had an easy run. Yeah. So the Seahawks and the Packers there. The Packers got 30-13. You said that would happen. I thought the Seahawks might be able to get the win, right? Particularly because they're home ground, so they just couldn't do it, right? They didn't have it, and Green Bay
They just got
showed
behind too early.
Yeah, NFC North, they're just strong. So Geno Smith didn't have a very good game either, but Jordan Love, he was good, right? So the Packers look good, and they're gonna do all right when they get into the playoffs again.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers are a team. You know what? They've always been built like this. They've always had that good running game. Josh Jacobs was a heck of an addition for them in the offseason. He's making Raiders fans miss him because they're a lot of their struggles the Raiders have is because they can't really run the football effectively. They let their best running back go. He's gone to the Packers 2 years in a row now. He's become, if you're playing fantasy football, Josh Jacobs has the potential to be a league winner for you. He gets the job done in the ground, in the air. He fits the mentality that the Packers have always had, and they got an underrated defense as well. They shut your receivers down. Guys like Jari Alexander, he takes away your top receiver. In this case, it's DK Metcalf. So Jackson Smith and Jigba seeing a lot of targets, but not really much happening besides yardage. You can have all the stats in the world. The Packers, they had the substance. The Seahawks, they were getting down the field. They were making things happen. They were getting yards. But when they got into the red zone, when they got between the 20s, they couldn't do anything. A lot of that also had to do with playing Zach Charbonnet because of Walker's injury. Now, Walker is back this week, I believe. That should be in a bit of an effect in the running game, but they just didn't have it. And the vaunted 12th man of the Seahawks, it works great for close games, but this one, the 12th man got silenced early and often and were never really a factor. I don't even think they caused a false start penalty this game. Meanwhile, Jordan Love, it really, as a Panther fan, it pisses me off how there's teams that seem to always have top quarterback talent. It seems like they breed great quarterbacks in Green Bay. Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers in his heyday, Brett Favre in his heyday. Now Jordan Love looks like he's going to be, a good quarterback as well. Again, sitting, seasoning. He had a good mentor. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers really took the time to actually talk to him about how to play the game, but you could see he got mental reps these last 3 years after he was drafted, watching Aaron Rodgers from the sidelines, seeing what he does, seeing how he plays. In a lot of ways, he actually plays a lot like Aaron Rodgers did in his prime. And that's just, Seattle never stood a chance. And when it comes to the playoffs, I do think Seattle wins their division, but I do think they're going to be a one and done. I don't think they can contend with the other teams. They're not built for it.
Yeah, my problem with the Seahawks there, Aaron Rodgers being with Jordan Love and Russell Wilson being with Geno Smith, is I'm not sure either of the older guys would have been speaking to their younger counterparts because they're worried they'll become redundant, right? That there's a lot of fear where people like, oh, this guy's going to come through and take my job. But
it's
the
ego.
cycle,
It's really sad
of
to
life
see.
of professional sports, right? So you're better off trying to work with the people, help mentor them, because you don't lose your magical powers and skills. Like when you're good, you're good. Aaron Rodgers is good. He's just old and losing.
Age is caught up to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the Jets are not the freaking Packers.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah, need to mentor those sorts of guys. Going to the next game now. Vikings 30-12 winners against the Bears. Not surprised. It was a big win there. Sam Darnold had a fairly good day. Jones was doing a lot of running yards there. Jefferson had a good day out as well, a touchdown. So pretty good team performance by the Vikings. Bears struggled a bit. Caleb Williams, he just looks good, right? So they can give him more weapons to work with.
They need to give
I
him
think the Bears
time.
can build good the next couple of years.
Caleb Williams shows a lot of potential. You see why he won the Heisman. You see why he was taken number one. It's a lot of it comes down to football being one of the trenches, and the Bears just do not seem to have the memo. They're gonna get their quarterback, what the expression is, card. David Carr from the Houston Texans. I think he was sacked 83 times in the 2001 season or the 2002 season when he was a rookie, and he never recovered. I'm worried that they're going to hurt Caleb Williams by that. He's had so many games with 5, 6, 7. I believe there was even a 9-sack performance against him in one game this year. That's like that should be considered neglect and abuse to allow your quarterback to take that kind of punishment, especially when you have that kind of, that much wrapped up into him. Granted, they've absolutely won the trade with the Panthers. You get that out of the way. They got a lot. I mean, they only gave up a little bit, but they still have to preserve what they have.
Yeah. So I got my grandkids in the background, so
I was hearing
happening.
them. So much for being on the beach in the middle of nowhere, huh?
I know. It's all good. They're eating all my chocolates and stuff, so just watching what they're doing. The dog's laying on the
Merry
bed.
Christmas.
so that game there, look, the Bears, considering they're the worst team, it's hard to label them that, the worst team in NFC North. They are on stats.
But that doesn't mean anything because the
they're not
NFC North
terrible.
is a power conference this year.
Yeah, because NFC North is strong. If they're in another conference, like if they're in NFC South, they might actually be pushing.
They'd be the champion.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. The Chicago Bears would be probably the division champion if they were the NFC South, but they're not. So we'd have to swap one of them over. No, the biggest thing is you see signs. You see somewhere where you can see Caleb Williams gets it. He doesn't have. Wow, Derrick Henry got taken down for a loss there. 3rd and 1 turned to 4th and 3. Yeah, they don't have the offensive line. He needs time to progress. They're not going to sit him. They took him number 1, so you can, the days of a quarterback going high in the draft and then sitting and learning, they're kind of going the way of the dinosaur. So that means they got to make do with what they have. But their best move needs to be for the draft next year. They need to take the best damn left tackle that they can.
Yeah.
They need, and in free agency, they need to use that to build. Focus on getting offensive line talent like the Panthers did this year. They need to take that blueprint from the Panthers. Otherwise, Caleb Williams is my pick to be the one who gets injured.
Yeah. And the last game of last week had the Falcons up against the Raiders. The Falcons got 15-9, so it's a bit of a ball fest, that game, wasn't it? So not much happened.
That was an ugly affair, and it's the reason why they benched Kirk Cousins. I think he had 3 or 4 bad picks. I mean, these weren't just like tip drill picks. They happened. These were, what the hell were you thinking when you threw that ball picks? Atlanta barely, and I mean barely, won a game that they should have dominated. Like, it should have been 35-3, 35-10 at best. And instead, they needed a last-second stand to win 15-9 on a Raiders team that looks like they're competing for the worst in the NFL this year. It's like neck and neck between Raiders and Giants, and possibly the Browns, of which team will be picking number 1 overall next year.
Yeah.
And the Falcons struggled.
So
Kirk Cousins struggled against Vegas last week.
Yeah. And Desmond Ridder wasn't terrible, but for the Raiders, he does a job. He's not a superstar quarterback, but could he get a decent trade to a decent club, or is he better off staying with the Raiders and wait for them to get another quarterback and hope he gets a better crack there, or what?
That's
What does
just
he
it.
do?
At this point, I don't think he's going to get a fair shake because of the ineptitude of the Raiders organization. You know, it's kind of funny when you think about it. He was a Falcon. And he come very close to making the Falcons pay for letting him go. He's not going to get a fair shake in that organization. Like, this is his best chance, but I think he realizes that he's playing for an audition to hopefully catch on somewhere else. But I don't think he's going to catch on as a starter. If he does, he's going to be a backup somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a shot through injury, but though the Raiders are going to be picking quarterback. There's no way that they're not going to go quarterback first or second or third overall next year.
Yeah. So do you think that game deserved to be the Monday Night Football game of
Hell
the round?
No. No. Looking back and seeing what I see, I would have had Steelers Eagles or Lions Bills or Dolphins Texans. Any one of those games should have been the Monday Night Football game. I'm wondering, are they like trying to get fired or something when they make these Monday Night Football games? Because I feel like people like see what's on and then they're like, I'm going to switch over to Raw or I'm going to watch Netflix or something. Why even bother?
Desperate Housewives.
Oh, that was a beautiful catch there.
Right, we're going to this week's
Russell
game.
Wilson, man, he just had a beautiful pass there.
Chargers and the Broncos. The Chargers got up 34-27 this week against the Broncos. They had to do it the hard way too because they were behind and just really had to bring in fourth quarter performance there. The Broncos will feel like they've missed a beat here. So, Bo Nix.
It wasn't a bad game by Bo Nix either. He didn't have a bad game. It was just, it feels like the Broncos, they had something that was working. And whether you want to call it halftime adjustments by the Chargers or just going, wow, that was a hell of a catch too, seriously. Or just going away from what was working for the Broncos, slowly a 24-10 lead turned into 24-21 and then 24, and then they're getting passed up and then they get a field goal, but the game was already out of reach by the time they got it.
Yeah. So Ladd McConkey, he's doing a lot of stuff for a young guy, so young wide receiver. So.
He's damn deadly from the slot. I mean, that's his best asset is playing from the slot. He gets open. Maybe he's a white wide receiver. Who cares? Bill Belichick would have loved him in his Patriots days. He plays well from the slot. He gets open. He's got good ability to play like the scat back type role. He gets open and he's got great yards after the catch ability. He has the speed, the second gear that most white boys don't have. He's got it. I mean, you've seen him. He's got several long touchdown catches this year. And you got to give Justin Herbert credit. He went from having so much. He went from Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and a top tight end and a top running back in Austin Eckler. And he lost all of that inside of the last offseason. And he is still making things happen. And him and Harbaugh, the younger Harbaugh, they have the Chargers on the cusp of a playoff berth.
Yeah.
Amazing. I never would have imagined that. It's for that reason I say you got to give Jim Harbaugh, the baby brother Harbaugh. Maybe he won't win the Hard Bowl, but he should be the coach of the year this year. What he did for the Chargers is nothing short of a miracle for them.
Well, he's turned them around. They're on the verge of making the playoffs, so they're close. They might do it and get a wild card. So that'll be good if they can. And I thought the Chargers were bang average too last year, so this is a good turnaround. The game you just watched before, the Chiefs 27-19 against the Texans. Chiefs just got in front and just looked like they just went through cruise control to get it done. It wasn't that easy, but was it from what you were watching?
It was a good match. There are going to be some red, yellow flag specialists coming out because they did have another play like that. I believe Patrick Mahomes had a fumble that was taken back for a touchdown, and they were already calling the flag on the field the minute the Texan defender touched the ball. So you knew that was coming. For me, this game, I think, really turned around when they lost Tank Dell, because they were like neck and neck with the Chiefs. It was a close match throughout. And when Tank Dell caught that touchdown and then got injured, I feel like they knew that they could just double and triple team Nico Collins and they wouldn't be able to respond. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they do what they do. They got weapons. Now they get another weapon back in Hollywood Brown, and he paid immediate dividends with big catches. And I believe he had a touchdown as well in his return.
Yeah. So got a lot of stuff. Like the Texans still look good, but they're just. I just think they're probably.
Though.
Yeah, I think they're a couple of players and a year or two off being very, very good, right? So they need to add a bit more to the roster.
Well, you also got to keep in mind, they lost Stephon Diggs. They brought Stephon Diggs in this year to be their number one. I think they had him maybe 3 or 4 games. He gets the ACL tear, out the entire season. So then it goes back to Nico Collins being your your number one. And Tank Dell, they get him back. He showed a lot of progress last year. Then he gets injured. I think this might be the death knell for the Texans. They're right in the thick of the hunt for a wild card spot, but they're just not built for a postseason success.
Yeah.
And Stroud is legitimately starting to struggle this year. He's had several passes today. I was like, what the hell are you thinking, man? Why would you make that pass?
Yeah.
So
inexperience. Inexperience.
It's called the sophomore slump. When you typically you can get a rookie that will excel. And when that happens, they typically tend to struggle in their sophomore season because the NFL, defenses, coordinators, they start to game plan against them. They got the footage, they got the film, they see your tendencies, what way you're going to try to throw the ball, which passes, you're going to make. That was a beautiful catch by the Steelers receiver right there. Cordell Patterson. This game's about to be tied up. Yeah. Sorry about the little thing. I'm watching this as I go. Man, that was a damn good catch in the end zone. Yeah, they can see his tendencies, where he's going to try to go on certain downs, certain situations, where, easy passes where he could get the ball, slip it out to Joe Mixon. He's not getting that all of a sudden because they know, hey, on 2nd and short, the ball's going to go to Joe Mixon. On, 3rd and 6, he's going to get it to Dalton Schultz, things like that. They see the tendencies and they can game plan against it. And that's when you see them starting to break up the route, jump the route, pick the ball off, things like that. And the things that he got away with as a rookie, is he's growing up and he's having a bit of a school of hard knocks, so to speak, because the NFL is catching up with him. And now he's got to try to take the next step to go beyond what his instincts and his tendencies. He's got to break them and make new tendencies.
Yeah. So that's the big thing. You've got to change all of that around. So it needs to make it work for him and suit him. So and the coaches need to work with him to help facilitate that as well. So we'll see how it goes. The next game, which is on now live, your brother's right into it. Can see him putting his hands on his head from time to time. So probably because Russell Wilson's helping him get back into this one. 17-all.
He doesn't like Russell Wilson, but it's a good game.
Yeah, 5 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. So at the moment, Lamar Jackson is thrown 10 for 17, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Russell Wilson's got him covered easy, 16 of 21, 2 for 188. The Steelers look like they're going to do the Ravens here.
I actually think the Steelers are going to pull it off. The Steelers, a lot of people don't know this, are 4-0 against the Ravens in their last meetings these last couple of years. I think the Steelers just have the Ravens numbers. They're actually built very well to play each other. I think you build your teams in your division to win your division. And in this case, the AFC North absolutely goes between the Steelers and the Ravens. They're like the 1A, 1B. They're built to fight each other. It's a great match. I've been enjoying it while talking with you. The biggest thing I see here so far, this game should legitimately be 24-10 or 24-10 or 24, something like that, because the Steelers were right on the cusp of a touchdown, and Russell Wilson had a beautiful run, and then he got hit and fumbled at the end of the play, and the Steelers lost the ball when they were like the 10-yard line, and the Ravens ended up turning that into a 90-yard touchdown possession. Otherwise,
that's bad.
this game should be Derrick Henry out of the equation on Lamar Jackson, and we all know Lamar Jackson is not really equipped to win in the playoffs.
So what happens with how good's Lamar Jackson with the Ravens if he doesn't have Derrick Henry? They don't have much going then, do
About the
they?
same as you've seen him in the other 4, 5, 6, 7 years he's been around. He's good, but I don't know if he's good enough to win a Super Bowl, to be honest with you, because his style of football just does not work in the playoffs.
Yeah. So he's going to need to do more rushing. He can't run it on his own. So
no, so that Derrick Henry was one of the best offseason moves they could have made. The move that the Dallas Cowboys should have made, whether I don't know, Jerry Jones was trying to save money for his mistress or something, I don't know. The Ravens made the move that Jerry Jones should have made, and you see right now they're in the thick of things. It's a 10-4 versus a 9-5 team. I believe the winner of this game is probably going to win the division. Has a damn good shot at the number 2 seed in the AFC to have a chance to make almost the entire AFC playoffs go through them. And yeah, I think if they lost Derrick Henry, you could say the Ravens will be another one and done this year. It's literally because they're powered by diesel power, as the old expression goes. They run that offense through Derrick Henry. I mean, who could stop a triple option of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, who just made a nice catch there? It's hard to stop that offense. And the Steelers are equipped to do it is the scary thing. As long as they keep TJ Watt healthy, things like that, they have a chance to get after Lamar Jackson and stuff Derrick Henry and turn this into an actual game. It's actually been a really good game. I'm entertained while watching it.
Yeah.
While talking.
So going to the next game here now, it's going to be another exciting match. The Falcons and the Giants.
Both teams are having struggles this year. Falcons are now deciding to turn to Michael Penix. I'm hearing that Tyrone Tracy of the Giants is injured as well. I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing in the Falcons' favor. The Falcons will be able to run the ball with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier. They'll be able to run, so their rookie is not going to be asked to do too much. As long as they keep running the ball and the Giants are not able to stack the box, Falcons should win this one handily. I'm thinking something like 24-10. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to get out of the starting gate.
Yeah. And the next game after that got the Bears up against the Lions. So the Bears are going to have a tough day out against the Lions, who are going to be very pumped after playing against the Bills. I can see the Lions putting another 45 or 48 on again. I don't think the Bears have got the ability to stop the Lions from scoring, and I think it's going to be ugly.
Yep, Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. I think it's going to be a close match for maybe the first quarter and a half, and then the dam gates are going to break. The floodgates are going to break on the dam. The Lions are going to come in pissed off because I feel like they lost a match that they should have won. I said what I feel about the onside kick rules, all that. I think it's going to be a slaughter. Even in divisional matches, they say with division games, you can throw records out the window. I think the Lions are going to come out legit pissed off. They're going to be running the ball down their throats with Jahmyr Gibbs. Jared Goff is probably going to have another 300, 400-yard, 4-touchdown performance. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up benching him by the end of the third quarter. It's going to be a slaughter. And I don't think Caleb Williams is going to look bad. It's just going to be that he's just not going to be able to hang with Jared Goff and the Lions. Like you said, you're predicting 45. Exactly. The Lions, the offense, I'm predicting something like 42-21.
Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty big. Panthers up against Arizona Cardinals. Are you going to Arizona to watch that game? And a flight
No,
out tonight?
it's actually in Carolina tomorrow. I
Oh,
really
it's
had thoughts
Carolina. There
about
you go.
I thought about going to that game, but I said I would do the thing with my brother, so we're gonna do that together and watch the game on the side. And I'm probably glad I'm not, because I thought we had a good shot against Dallas, and they're a team that seemed to be in shambles. Mark
Cardinals going
Andrews
pretty
got a
good.
touchdown, and the Cardinals are a team that look to be on the rise. Kyler Murray, he's starting to get it. Maybe Call of Duty Double XP happens this weekend and he starts slacking off. I think that might be the only chance the Panthers have this weekend.
Yeah.
James Conner is going to it's not going to be pretty. James Conner, I'm legit calling 150 yards and 2 touchdowns at least at a minimum against Carolina this weekend. Bryce Young, I think, will have a bounce back performance. I think he's going to throw 3 touchdowns tomorrow. I think it's going to be, but I think the Cardinals with that rushing, it's just going to be something like 35-24. It's just going to be, they get the lead often, they get the lead early, and they coast with the run game. Kyler Murray's probably going to run one in himself, this slippery little toddler self, the toddler with the cell phone. And the Cardinals are just going to have the better offense, and the Panthers are just not going to be able to keep up. And it breaks my heart as a Panther fan to say it. But yeah, I'm predicting 35-21, 24, something like that. Cardinals win big.
Yeah. Next game got the Jets up against the Rams. So we're talking before about Matthew Stafford. His time's coming to an end too. Unfortunately for him, that as well. I still could see Gardner Minshew effectively there, or someone like that there. Yeah, there's options, and I think they're going to start looking at them, but they want to build for the future. Who do I get? Who knows? Aaron Rodgers, the Jets, they just look disheartened, right? I don't mind watching. It's funny watching it because they just get downtrodden. So, but it's not good, because when I followed Detroit and Central Coast Mariners and soccer over here in the Panthers when they sucked as well, you're doing exactly
You
what
feel
those
for
guys
them,
do.
I know, but
Yeah,
no, I do think they're going to start having discussions about the future for Matthew Stafford, but I don't think it's just yet. They were starting to think about a full-blown rebuild, and then they got Puka Nakua back. They got Cooper Kupp back, and you saw they made progression since. Kyron Williams has a nose for the end zone. He touches the ball in the end zone, I believe, I think he's got like 11 or 12 out of the 15, 16 games played. He's got a touchdown. And that whole balanced offense is what's kept the Rams alive. I believe that's what's going to keep the Rams alive in this game versus Jets as well. If it was put entirely on Matthew Stafford's arm to win the game against that secondary that the Jets have, like with Sauce Gardner, I'd say they'd be in trouble. But because of the existence of Kyron Williams and Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp, and the balanced offense is going to keep the Rams afloat. I think Aaron Rodgers probably going to have a bit of a come back to earth kind of a moment in this game. I'm thinking it's going to be something like 28-17 Rams win. I don't think it's going to be as much of a struggle as people are thinking. As it pertains to Matthew Stafford, maybe the move to make would be going from Matthew Stafford to Kirk Cousins, but again, you're just kicking the can down the road eventually. They've actually got a pretty good quarterback in Stedman Bailey. Like, he showed a lot of progress, but the problem with him is he's like Chris Winkie was. Chris Winkie won the Heisman as like a 29 or 30-year-old before he went into the NFL draft. He was an old college player. And that's what Stedman Bailey's problem is. Otherwise, he should have gotten a fair shake somewhere. He may get that fair shake a year or two in Los Angeles, but even that's going to be like on borrowed time. So the Rams probably going to be looking to the draft. I don't think you're going to find the answer in free agency this year.
Yeah. So the reason why I think I could see Stafford potentially retiring soon is because him and the Rams keep saying, "Oh, this is our farewell against Detroit. This is our farewell." Like you keep
I
saying
heard
all these
that.
things, makes me think that I think he's decided, perhaps, or maybe his wife has decided, it's coming to an end, right? He knows he's not stupid. He's also got all the Arsenal still. It's not like he can't throw anymore, and he's got injuries. He hasn't got any of that. But he's 35. It's not going to last forever. And yeah, just
Well, 35 in the NFL is basically like 40 in real life. You're past your prime. You're starting to decline.
yeah,
Your best days are pretty much behind you. I hate to say it, but
yeah,
especially as a quarterback, it's Tom Brady. He was like the rare exception of a guy who can still get the job done in his late 30s, early 40s. That
yeah,
doesn't happen very often.
yeah. All right, next game, Commanders and the Eagles there. So Commanders have been pretty good. It's going to be a good test for the Eagles, actually, because the Eagles are starting to go into cruise control a bit here, but they're missing a lot defensively without Jordan Mailata. And the Commanders have got the weapons to be able to get a lot of points. They could put a lot of points on. Not sure how they'll pan out. I think that the Eagles will get the win, but this could go either way.
Score prediction is going to be hard to call for this one, but I do think the Eagles have the offensive firepower as well as some of the defensive firepower to pull it out. Jordan Mailata or no, they still have top talent on the offense, top talent on the defense. Whereas the Commanders are a team that seem to be like a glass cannon, very good on the offense, not so much on the defense. I think that'll be the difference in this game. I do think it's going to be a great game. I'm thinking something, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say something like 31-21, 31-24, a close affair to the fourth quarter. And I think they're just going to be able to pound the rock with Saquon Barkley and put it out of the misery of the Commanders. I think it's going to be a great game to watch throughout, though.
Yep. Next game got Bengals against the Browns there. I think it'll be shut the door early here. The Bengals will get the win 31-17. So
if that, it's the Browns they're already inept to begin with. Now they've lost Chubb. Now they're playing a backup as their starter, or I should say a backup's backup as their starter. They have a few receiving threats, but with the existence of the young, inexperienced quarterback, they're just not going to be able to keep up. And the Bengals are just so high-powered offensively as well as defensively. The Bengals have an underrated defense, particularly when they're going to be taking on a young, quarterback who don't know what the hell he's doing. If this one is anything less than a 14-point game, I would eat my hat. This one will be over literally before halftime, I believe.
Yeah. The next game got the Colts up against the Titans, so both sides are struggling. Colts being at home, not in great form.
I'd give the edge to the Colts by field goal.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to win because they're at home, so it's not too much to say about that, unfortunately. Next game, Seahawks and the Vikings. Seahawks, even though they're at home, the Vikings are very good and decent form. Sam Darnold's been playing good. Be thinking the Vikings are going to be able to clean them up here.
We do have to keep an eye on the return of Kendall Walker. He is going to be coming back okay. Charbonnet going back on the bench. That has an effect. They are also in Seattle. I just feel like this is another case where the Minnesota Vikings offense, I cannot believe I'm going to say this, is just too good for the Seattle Seahawks to hang with, even at home. Darnold, I think, is going to outperform Geno Smith, and the Vikings are going to pull it out 35-28.
Yeah.
It's possibly going to be a last second
really?
touchdown drive that does it.
Yeah. So you think it'll be close though? I thought it might be more of a blowout. Yeah.
Because Geno Smith has weapons and he'll have his running game as well, I could see this one going either way. I would usually be inclined to give it to the home team, but I just feel like the Vikings are the better team. I feel like they're just better built overall right now.
Yeah. So this next game's going to be bad. The Bills versus the Patriots. The Bills just put 48 on the Lions. The Patriots are not the Lions. I think we might see a 50. And I don't think the Patriots are even going to get close. Drake May's going to go, what is going on here? He's going to have just a tough day. He's not going to have much ball. He's not going to have much anything. It's going to be hard.
And that's really all it is. It's like right now the Patriots are like the Barry Sanders Lions. It's Drake May and maybe a good running back, and then that's it. They don't have it. This is not the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady Patriots of yesteryear.
Yeah.
They just will not be able to contend. I don't think it's going to be quite the 50-point shellacking that people are expecting, but I don't think it's going to be anything less than a 17-point blowout over by the third quarter. And I think Josh Allen probably gets put on the bench in the middle of the third quarter because they're just that far out where there's no threat for the Patriots to come back.
Don't need to waste his. You just risk getting him injured for no reason at all if he keeps playing. So
I think they let him throw 4 touchdowns, and then they say, go to the bench. You're one MVP, and we're done. We're going to let you rest for next week.
Yeah. Our next game, Raiders and Jaguars. Jacksonville, not playing great, but they're playing better than the Raiders, and I think they're going to be able to get that one.
Yeah. I have Jaguars over the Raiders, even in Las Vegas. Let's be honest, the Raiders don't have a home field advantage. Their team's fans are apathetic. They don't give a damn. They're mad. They're literally in rebuild mode and upcoming. They don't have the future right now. They're looking toward to the future, to the draft. Maybe next year they'll get an infusion of blood when they get that young quarterback in to excite the fan base. But right now, they just don't care. They're except for the super fans. Super fans are always excited and hyped. But other than that, most NFL fans are just looking forward to Christmas and then looking forward to next year. Russell Wilson on 4th and 4, almost picked off. He wants the flag. He's not going to get one. That might be the game right there. Ravens up 24-17, and they get the ball back.
They have to be from Kansas City to get them flags.
Right now. Yep, gotta be. Russell Wilson just ain't got it no more.
Yeah.
It's really sad to see because 3-4 years ago, that's probably a touchdown, if not a first down there. Instead, line of scrimmage was near midfield, and now the Ravens are going to get the ball with time to spare. Yeah. I imagine my brother's probably slamming his fist in anger in his bedroom. Going back to the game, Jaguars-Raiders, I think the Raiders, they might have a shot with their run game, but the Jaguars, if they're smart, are just going to stack the box, knowing that they don't have any weapons at all besides Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, phenomenal rookie tight end, but that's all the Raiders have at this point. Jaguars win. I can't believe it. I think they're going to win big, 31-13.
Yeah, I just don't think the Raiders got anything to throw to.
Derrick Henry just busted one wide open, my friend.
Yeah.
That game just broke open. The Ravens look like they're about to pull it out.
There you go. Now, the next game, Dolphins and the 49ers. So this is an interesting game because Tagovailoa has been playing pretty good. Last week didn't have the best game. The 49ers are decimated by injuries. Brock Purdy's
particularly at running back. The 49ers are playing, I believe, their 4th or 5th string running back right this week.
So they just don't have anything left. So they're nearly as bad as the Lions. Injuries there. The problem is it's all to their front end, so they've got nothing offensively. I think the Dolphins should be able to get that in Miami, shouldn't they?
I know people don't believe in curses, but the 49ers are kind of showing that the Super Bowl hangover is a legit thing. Typically, the team that loses the Super Bowl does not go back to the postseason the next year. And if that wasn't enough, Christian McCaffrey was named the Madden cover athlete. And the curse hit them so picked off. Steelers might just have a chance after all. Lamar Jackson screwed the pooch, picked off, and they're back at the 30-yard line. That was a hell of a return by the Steelers defensive back there. We might just have some life after all.
So 24-17, about a minute and a half to go.
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson just threw a horrible pick. What the hell was he thinking? And he returned it for a good 50 yards after the pick. Now Russell Wilson and the Steelers have a chance to tie the game up. I told you that defense, they're built to stop Lamar Jackson. That's what that was. They should have just stuck with running the ball with Derrick Henry. I don't know why they didn't do it. Back to the 49ers and their running back situation. The Madden curse bit them so hard that it didn't just stop at Christian McCaffrey. It took out literally Christian McCaffrey. Then, not Mostert. Mostert's with the Dolphins. Who the heck is the second string running back?
Ayuk.
Yep, they took out of him. It got Ayuk. Deebo Samuel got injured for a time. Brock Purdy got injured for a time. They're playing their fifth string running back, Guerrero. He was starting to show progress as a fourth string running back, and then he gets injured. So now they're playing their fifth stringer. They're starting him. Having said all that, I do think the 49ers are still a better team than the Miami Dolphins. I'm inclined to think that the 49ers defense will not allow the huge plays that the Dolphins rely on. And I'm going to say I think I got the 49ers winning this game.
Yeah. There you go. If you reckon that we'll get the win, so it wouldn't
Barely.
surprise me.
I think they win barely. I think Tua struggles to continue with connecting with Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to continue. I think the 49ers are going to limit the deep, big 70, 80-yard touchdown plays that the Dolphins rely on. And if they try to put the ball in a Chain's hands, I just don't think he's able to get the job done.
Yeah. Our next game got Cowboys against the Buccaneers. So even though it's in Dallas, the Cowboys, they're just flat, all right? So
That's not all, man. Dallas, they're actually better as the away team. At the home team, I don't think they have a single victory this season. They just, whatever home juice that most teams have, the Dallas Cowboys do not have it. And I think you're going to add on loss number 9 at home this year. Dallas Cowboys, I don't think they keep up with the Buccaneers. Cooper Rush, maybe he makes some things happen with CeeDee Lamb, but I'm projecting another Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans explosive performance. I'm thinking something like 42-21.
Yeah. In the last game of the round, they actually got at least one of the teams right for the Monday Night Football game. Packers and the Saints.
1/2.
Yeah. So Packers, I'm expecting they're going to come out and they're going to show why they're going to be a dominant force in the playoffs. They're probably going to roll through the Saints here without any problem. So have New Orleans got anything they can bring to stop that? Can they travel away, go to Lambeau and get the win?
I think it'd take a miracle, the likes of Any Given Sunday, and Remember the Titans, and The Blind Side, and every inspirational football movie that you can think of, and every inspirational cliche, the 99 out of 100 times comes into effect. It doesn't matter. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have Alvin Kamara, who would have given them a chance, somewhat of a ghost of a chance. K'Andre Miller's going to have to channel the ghost of Jim Brown for them to have a chance in this game. They don't have receivers. They don't have a quarterback. Picked off again, Ravens, and that's going to be a touchdown, pick 6. That was a horrible pass by Russell Wilson, and they were just, oh man. It looked like they ever had a chance, and they just slammed the door shut. Now it's
game, set, match.
31. It's still not over. They need a quick pass, but 31-17 with the fourth quarter.
Can they do it?
What the hell were you thinking, man? Wade just jumped the route. That was a short pass, and he jumped the route for a pick 6. Sheesh. Yeah, Packers over the Saints, and I'm thinking something like 35-10. 35-7, 35-3. I would be shocked to see the Saints. I don't even know if the Saints are going to make it to the end zone until the fourth quarter, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a mistake by the Packers for the Saints to even touch or sniff the end zone. I originally had 42-13 for my final score. I'm going to change it to 42-3.
Yeah.
I just don't see
I don't
anything
think they get
happening for the
touchdown
Saints.
at all. That's pretty hard.
Exactly. I just
Indeed.
don't see anything happening for the Saints.
Yeah, there you go. And Josh, thanks for your time today. It was a great chat, and it's fantastic to have your brother Wesley on as well, so you can thank him for his time and his contribution, because it was very good. And I love that he's passionate about sports, and congratulate him on the fact he's done nearly 30 years of broadcasting as well as
He's
a
a
commentator
veteran of the
and run his own
game.
sports radio show. Like, it's a big deal. It takes a lot of time and effort. A lot of people just say, "Oh, just do this." A lot of dedication and a lot of stuff goes behind the scenes to run this sort of stuff, and you do a lot of thankless things for free just to build your brand and everything that you do. So that to have him on and contribute after uh, commentating the e-racing and doing all the football and stuff he does, I really do appreciate that, and it's got a valuable contribution. Hopefully Russell Wilson can turn it around for him in this game. And
I don't know, man. Russell Wilson just screwed the pooch on that one. Like, it looked like they had a shot, and then he just made one of the worst interceptions I've seen this year. I mean, it wasn't even like a deep pass. It was like a 5-yard slant that got taken back for a touchdown. I don't even know why he threw that ball like he did. As for Wesley, yeah, man, I remember the days where he was making just a little bit of money commentating races every once in a while. And he would literally have to pay like my grandpa or my uncle or something like that money, because he was still a kid, mind you. He was like in like 16 or 17. He had to pay to go to the race. He had to pay just to be able to keep doing the announcing. But he stuck with it, when everyone else was telling him, "You're stupid. Why are you doing this? It's never going to go nowhere." I never said that to my brother, but so many people I remember did. So many people told him, "Be sensible, get a job, do this, do that. Don't do announcing. You're staying up late and getting nothing for it." He kept honing his craft and plying his craft and practicing and making his name and gaining his bearing and his standings. And next thing you know, he's got a lot of experience and a lot of different gigs under his belt. I hope one day, I don't think I'm ever going to see the experience and the resume that he's got, because I didn't pursue that for me. But I hope one day to be able to say, at least when the NFL, the Panthers, things like that comes to mind, that I at least have something of my, some semblance of a career like he's had. He's actually been a great example to follow in a lot of ways.
yeah, it's a big thing. Said lots of people put a lot of time in. I know I do. I put a lot of time into making what I do as good as it can be, right? So if you're gonna do it, put it in. And his brother's definitely passionate and
Yeah, well,
has
he's
good
made that
brand.
his career. He's basically
Knowledge is
made it his
everything, right? So
career.
if you're going to talk about stuff, you want to make sure you know about it. So, and he does. He knows his stuff, and it's invaluable. So, we'll be checking
Maybe
out
it
his
runs in
pod.
a family.
Yeah. So, should tell him like it's not too late to jump on board the Panthers as well. Like if he's feeling like
That he's never felt the Panthers, man. I think he became a Steelers fan because we had friends next door that were Steelers fans. That's the theory I have. I've never understood it. Well, it's like last night I was asking him, "Why are you an Alabama Roll Tide fan? How did you become a Roll Tide fan with all the colleges that North Carolina has?" And he's like, "Well, Daddy's from Alabama." I'm like, "Well, there you go. You ask a dumb question, you get a dumb answer." So
yeah.
I guess that's because, I guess he picked it because Daddy's from Alabama. I don't know why I never got into college football. I seriously don't. Maybe I need to rethink it. But even now, it's like, what team would I pick?
Yeah, those things
It's
happen, but
funny. It's funny because I was literally talking to my brother about that last night driving home. I'm like, well, who would I pick? And he's like, Roll Tide. I'm like, no, I wouldn't pick Alabama. He's like, Roll Tide.
yeah,
It's funny. I don't know.
so,
I guess if anything, I'd have to go for one of the Carolina teams. But the problem is it's one thing when you've got one Carolina team, the Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, like that. It's
yeah,
another thing when you've got like the Tar Heels, the Wolf Pack, the Blue Devils, the Clemson Tigers, the Wake Forest. I don't know who they are. Sorry, I don't follow enough. There's literally like 7 or 8 colleges at a minimum in Carolina that I could have picked. And maybe that was what kept me from picking one. I remember like there was always one person likes this college, one person likes this college, another likes this. And the rivalries, man, the college rivalries I've seen are even more intense than anything the NFL has. I
yeah,
mean, maybe Steelers Ravens or Packers Bears or 49ers Cowboys from the 80s and the 90s. That
yeah.
might be it. I can't think of too many rivalries that are deep seated like they are in college. I mean, I don't even watch college and I know about the rivalries.
Yeah, that's it.
But I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you having my brother on.
No, it's fine. It's good. I loved it. It was good to get an insight, like I said, from because you've been living in Australia for a long time now, so you're still 100% got
Yeah,
all the American connections. But to hear it from someone that's living and breathing it every day, and what Americans' opinion from what
an
everyone sees it
American.
inside, it's a different perspective, right? Because you don't see it or hear it in Australia, and it's good to get that perspective because it's a different view. Like I have a different view on things to similar to your brother, but like I would look at probably if he was looking at rugby league and rugby, I'd probably look at that differently to what he does too, because I'm here and see it all the time. So I see things he wouldn't be aware of. He's saying things I'm not aware of because you only see the outer layer and then so much else when you're not there all the time looking at stuff. So
Exactly. It's because it's what you're used to. We
yeah,
grew
that's
up on
right.
gridiron like you grew up on rugby.
Yeah.
It's like a crossing of the two worlds. Having said that, I love NRL. Um, I'm looking forward to the next season. Hopefully, the Panthers can make it 5 in a row this
5 in a
year.
row.
That would be freaking. I think it's. I think it's going to be a bit of a uphill climb because we've lost a lot of talent these last couple of years.
It will definitely be tough. Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. So, but look forward to seeing how we go. Anyway, Josh, I won't chat there beforehand because Christmas is only on. Pretty sure it's Wednesday.
Like 3 days
Um,
away, I think.
yeah. So you have a fantastic Christmas with your brother and your family, and enjoy the weather. Hope you get a white Christmas. So
Here's hoping.
yeah,
Even if I don't, it's been the best. This has been the best Christmas I've had in years and years to be back with my family. My wife is literally, I believe she's on the plane as we speak. Like I've lost so much time talking here. I forgot to put on the tracker for my wife. No, she's not on the plane. Never mind. She's got another 5 or 6 hours. She'll be landing in RDU, Carolina, about maybe another 25 hours from now.
yeah.
So, man, I'm happy and excited about that. I've missed my wife and my son these last couple of weeks. Just
It's
happy to
good.
have the whole family together, be with my
It,
family, see my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister, aunts, uncles, everybody. It's been the best Christmas gift of all, seriously. So even if we don't get a white Christmas, I really don't give a damn. That would
yeah.
just be like the icing on the top of the cake.
We'll get everyone over there in Carolina and Clayton to check it all out. So have a good Christmas. When you go for a run, watch those dogs.
Oh God, yeah. Man, they weren't so bad though. They more of like a minor annoyance than actual like a threat.
Yeah,
Hell, my dogs, the ones my family has are the ones to watch out for. I went to
Errol,
visit
yeah.
my sister, and she was like, her dog literally looks like a pony. I didn't want no part of that. I'm like, I'm gonna sit over here. I'm gonna sit down the entire time.
Yeah.
So
There
that's
you
gonna be
go.
fun.
All right, Josh, have a fantastic Christmas, and I'll catch up with you again. We'll work the time out again. It's worked pretty good for me this time and today, so hopefully it's all good for next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, the Scrimmage line.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, man. I hope you have a Merry Christmas with your family as well. And as always, keep pounding worldwide.
Absolutely will do. Right. Thanks, Josh. I'll catch you again next time.
Take care, buddy.